Chapter 475, Take the Money and Leave. 4. The second elder really wanted to continue fainting when he heard this, but he didn't dare. He was really afraid of death for this bird. Moreover, he believed that if he really fainted, this bird would definitely burn him to ashes without hesitation. Boo-hoo. Little second, did you hear what I said? Foam Linger couldn't help but roar when she saw that the second elder was ignoring her. Yes, I heard you. Second elder looked at the little golden snake coiled around the pillar and was depressed. Boo-hoo. He didn't know how to massage this snake. Little Hong, since they're awake, quickly bring them to work. Old Man Zao urged. Don't worry. I won't let you do it for a night. Someone will change shifts, Old Man Zao added. Yes, I've already divided the groups. The third elder left the living room with the first group after speaking. All right, the remaining elders, you can continue lying down and have a good rest. It's your turn to be on duty in a few hours. Old Man Zao said to the elders present after the third elder led the group away. The moment Old Man Zao finished speaking, the elders left in the living room all lay on the ground in unison. Boo-hoo. They were really tired. Ha, we're going to rest too. First elder, don't forget to change shifts with Little Hong in the latter half of the night. Old Man Zao reminded him before pulling Lin Liang out of the living room. I want to accompany my beloved too. Hee, come find me if little second isn't well behaved. Foam Linger said to all the beasts in the living room. I'm here. There is no need for you. Icy said indifferently as it rolled its eyes. Humph. You lazy dog. It'll be too late by the time you do anything. Foam Linger said disdainfully. She then flew out of the living room with her head held high. Foam Linger came to Leng Ruoxu's room after leaving the living room and called out softly, Sister Ruoxue, embark. Foam Linger was already in the bracelet with a flash of light. Hee, Sister Ruoxue, I did well, didn't I? Little second was almost out of breath from my torment. Foam Linger flew in front of Leng Ruoxue and claimed credit. It's not enough. Aren't they still persisting? Leng Ruoxue said with dissatisfaction. Alas. It seemed like she had really underestimated the spirit of these elders who wanted money but not life. She really didn't understand why these elders of the Lan family were all so stingy. She also didn't know if she and the patriarch of the Lan family could squeeze money out of them. Then what should we do? Foam Linger asked helplessly. Swear, looks like we have to give them some heavy medicine. Ling Qingtian said. Ah. Grandpa, what heavy medicine? Leng Ruoxue was puzzled. Cleaning the toilet, Ling Qingtian said with a smirk. Grandpa, they cleaned the toilet today, Leng Ruoxue said. It's only been a day, how can I see the effects? I don't believe they can continue cleaning for a month. Ling Qingtian said evilly. He didn't believe that those elders who lived extravagantly could really bear this pain. Okay, but they can't just clean the toilets. They might as well clean the entire inn. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. They would do a major cleaning tomorrow and clean for a month. She didn't believe that these esteemed elders could take it. Why don't we do this? Starting tomorrow, the inn will stop operations and collectively clean up. They will officially open for business after they have cleaned up. However, they will be responsible for the loss of the inn during this period, the old man said, wanting the world to be in chaos. You are too evil. These elders will be driven to their graves by you even if they don't die of exhaustion, Empty said gloatingly, his handsome face hanging with a happy smile. He knew that he would never be lonely with Leng Ruoxue and the others. It's okay. If we anger an elder to death, there will still be thousands and thousands of elders rushing forward. Leng Ruoxue didn't pity them at all. Alas. They were unlucky. I'll carry out this plan tomorrow. Old Man Zao, who entered the bracelet before Foam Linger, said excitedly. Okay, Grandpa. Be the inspectors tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue smiled evilly at everyone. No problem, everyone quickly replied with smiles on their faces as if they were watching a good show. After discussing, Leng Ruoxue and the others returned to their rooms to rest. 3 days later. Finally, there was the first elder who surrendered. In the living room. I can't take it anymore. Am willing to pay the debt. Don't let me wipe the ground anymore, okay? An elder lay on the ground crying. Boo-hoo. He nearly died of exhaustion. Ninth elder, get up quickly. You are one of the most senior elders in our elder consortium. How can you be so gutless? Stand up like a man. First elder scolded loudly. First elder, I really can't take it anymore. I'll pay for it, okay? I want to redeem myself. Ninth elder said while crying. So sad. Those who didn't know would think that someone had died in his family. Miss Leng, is this okay? First elder suppressed his smile and pretended to ask. Sure. 1 billion purple coins. Leng Ruoxue said with a chuckle from her chair. What? Another 1 billion? Do you want to rob us? Didn't our Lan family only owe you 12 billion in total? Why do I have to pay 1 billion alone? The ninth elder roared at the top of his lungs in pain. There were more than 20 of them in total. Why did he have to take so much alone? Boo-hoo. Don't bully me like this. That's the price. Continue to stay here for special training if you can't bear to part with it. I'm very open-minded. I won't force you, Leng Ruoxue said calmly with a light smile. I'll give it to you. I'll pay you 1 billion. I don't want to stay here anymore, the ninth elder said through gritted teeth. His flesh was starting to bleed from the pain. Ninth elder, you are very wise. Leng Ruoxue praised. Then she turned to the other elders in the living room and said, if any of you want to redeem yourselves, it will be the same at 1 billion purple coins. Chapter 476, Take the Money and Leave, 5. However, the other elders were obviously unwilling to part with the money because no one responded to Leng Ruoxue at all. 2 more days passed. The elders proposed to redeem themselves one after another. In the living room, old man Zhao was so happy to receive money. His old face was about to bloom with laughter. Goodbye. See you again. I hope we will have a chance to cooperate in the future. Old man Zhao had the same excuse for every elder who used the money to redeem themselves. The elders' reactions were the same. They disappeared without a trace before old man Zhao could finish speaking. TCH, you're too rude. I'm not a tiger. Why are you running so quickly? Old man Zhao complained unhappily. Ha! They don't dare to have a chance to cooperate with you, Leng Ruoxue teased happily. The reactions of these elders were really too funny. She reckoned that these fellows would have to take a detour if they saw them in the future. Those are just pleasantries. I don't want to cooperate with them either. They're really useless. Old man Zhao despised the elders. Yes, how many are left? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. There are 7 more holding on. More than half of them paid and left, old man Zhao said. Oh, looks like the work arranged for them is still too light. Give the jobs that the elders left to these 7 people. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Okay. Old man Zhao answered happily. He didn't have to do these jobs anyway. However, this girl was a little too ruthless. Those people would vomit blood from anger. As old man Zhao expected, 3 elders immediately fainted from the blow after he announced the new jobs for the 7 elders. However, they consciously paid the money and left impatiently after waking up. The other 4 elders finally gave in after another day. They paid money to redeem themselves and immediately disappeared. In the living room. Ha, lass, we've really had a great harvest. I'm so happy. Old man Zhao looked at the anonymous silver cards in his hand and couldn't stop smiling. Okay, let's leave too. Leng Ruoxue said to everyone. Everyone nodded and left behind a letter. They left without saying goodbye again under the cover of the night. Lass. Why did we leave secretly? Old man Zhao asked in puzzlement after exiting Blue Cloud City. They actually left the city in invisibility and even left Lan Ming alone in the inn without greeting him. Alas! Little Lan Lan would cry when he woke up the next morning. I'm afraid the patriarch of the Lan family will be coming tomorrow morning, Leng Ruoxue said understandingly. With her understanding of Lan Tao these few days, she knew very well that Lan Tao would not just watch her earn so much money from the Lan family. He might even want a share of the loot. They had agreed back then that the money the Lan family owed her would be squeezed out from those elders, but Lan Tao would never expect her to squeeze so much. Hee, there was no better time to leave. Ah. Lan Ninger is still in the guest room. He should be coming to collect her tomorrow, old man Zhao said foolishly. He won't come for Lan Ninger, Leng Ruoxue said. Ah. Then why? Old man Zhao didn't understand. Of course it's for money, you idiot, the old man couldn't help but roar. It was okay to let this old man do something, but this kind of thing that required thinking was not within his scope of understanding. Ah. Then let's leave quickly. Old man Zhao said hurriedly when he heard that it was for money. Don't worry. We're already very far from Blue Cloud City. They won't be able to catch up, the little old man comforted helplessly. Alas. These people were really too interesting. Lass. What are your next plans? The little old man turned his head and asked Leng Ruoxue. We want to find a place to settle down for the time being and focus on improving our strength first, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Lass, I can recommend a place for you. It's not bad, the little old man said mysteriously. Where? Leng Ruoxue's curiosity was piqued, and she couldn't help asking. Myriad Mountain City, the little old man said with a smile. Girl, Myriad Mountain City might be called a city, but it's not just a city. It's composed of more than 10,000 tall mountains. Almost every mountain has a power or a powerhouse staying there. That place belongs to the 3 ungoverned areas. Whoever has the greatest power has the greatest say. Whoever has the strongest power will occupy the larger territory. Moreover, there will be battles every day and there will be many people coming to challenge. According to the rules of 10,000 Mountain City, the losing side has to give up their territory, so there are no weaklings there. It can be said to be very easy or very difficult to establish yourself in Myriad Mountain City because there are people coming to challenge us almost every day. You can forget about peace unless you are very strong. Lass, I have a residence in Myriad Mountain City. You can stay there. Of course, you can also find a place yourself. It's up to you. However, with your current strength, occupying a mountain isn't a problem, the little old man explained. There's actually such a place. Then let's go to Myriad Mountain City. Leng Ruoxue was a little surprised as she looked at everyone. Yes, let's go to the Myriad Mountain City. Well, occupy the mountain as the king too, hee. Old man Zhao was so excited. He didn't expect that there was actually such a place in the boundless heaven continent. Wasn't this a legitimate bandit's lair? Don't get excited too early. That place is very dangerous and chaotic. People die every day. Moreover, everyone who can settle down in Myriad Mountain City is a powerhouse, so don't be too careless. The little old man couldn't help reminding. Yes, we will be careful, Leng Ruoxue said. To be honest, she was not afraid of chaos and danger. What she wanted to do the most now was to improve her strength. Myriad Mountain City might really be a good place after listening to the little old man's introduction. Are there any major guilds in Myriad Mountain City? Leng Qingtian asked. Chapter 477, The Bandits That Answer Every Question, 1, No. There are 5 major factions in Myriad Mountain City now. They control all the commercial circulation there. They don't care about the other mystics except for being a little more polite to mystic supremacy. Moreover, many factions have wanted to replace them for many years, but they have yet to succeed, the little old man said with a light smile. That's because they didn't meet a true opponent. Hee, lass. Why don't we challenge them? Old man Zao said eagerly. The warlike factor in his body had already been ignited. Grandpa Du, what level is the weakest among the 5 major forces? Len Ruoshua asked. Lass. Even the weakest among the 5 major factions has a mystic sovereign sitting in the array. It's unlikely that you want to challenge the 5 major factions with your current strength. However, if this puppy takes action, the chance of success is still very high, the little old man said understandingly. Grandpa Du, little Icy is our last trump card. I won't let it attack unless necessary, Len Ruoshua said confidently. Ha, lass, I like your unyielding character. Myriad Mountain City might be dangerous, but it's also a good place to increase your strength. However, you have to be careful wherever you go, the little old man said worriedly. Okay, we will be careful. Len Ruoshua nodded. Lass, this is the map of Myriad Mountain City. My residence is marked on it. I should have returned with you, but I have to bring Zheng En to the Alchemist Association headquarters first, so I won't be leaving with you. The little old man took out a beast-hide scroll and handed it to Len Ruoshua. Master, are we going to the Alchemist Association now? Can't we send Miss and the others to Myriad Mountain City? Zheng En said worriedly. He had heard of Myriad Mountain City before. Its life could be in danger at any time. Silly boy, Sun Wei has already slipped away secretly. He might have lost all his face in Blue Cloud City, but he has been running the Alchemist Association for many years. Moreover, he has the Sun family backing him up. I'm afraid that he will be driven into a corner. Alchemists will cause big trouble, the little old man said worriedly. His disciple, Renli, was a softy. Otherwise, he would not have told him about this matter until Sun Wei escaped from Blue Cloud City. Alas! Hopefully, Sun Wei could be more well-behaved and not touch his reverse scale. Zheng En, Grandpa Du's concerns are right. Go to the Alchemist Association with him. We can go to Myriad Mountain City ourselves, Len Ruoshua said. She knew that Grandpa Du wanted to bring Zheng En along to solve his identity problem, so she naturally had no objections. But, Miss, Zheng En hesitated. We won't be in any danger with little Icy around. Zheng En, Grandpa Du, we will wait for you in Myriad Mountain City, Len Ruoshua said seriously. Okay. Lass, well immediately return to Myriad Mountain City to meet up with you after settling the Alchemist Association's matters, the little old man said happily. Okay, Grandpa Du, see you again. Len Ruoshua led the group in the direction of Million Mountain City after speaking. The little old man and Zheng En went to the carefree city where the Alchemist Association was located. At the same time, Lan Ming in the inn had already discovered the letter Len Ruoshua and the others left for him. Little Lan, there is no such thing as a banquet that will never end. See you again. That was all. After reading it, Lan Ming's mood was extremely complicated. He even felt like he had been abandoned. Boo-hoo. How could this be? Lan Ming sat foolishly in the living room with the letter in his hand, thinking about something. His thoughts were interrupted only when Lan Lai appeared. Uncle, what happened to you? Lan Lai, who had just run into the living room, couldn't help being puzzled when he saw his uncle sitting on the chair like a wooden man. Nothing. I'm in a bad mood, Lan Ming said coldly. Ah. By the way, where are little Icy and the others? Lan Lai changed the topic. They left. They left without saying goodbye, leaving behind only a letter, Lan Ming said gloomily. Boo-hoo. Fine, leave. Why didn't they tell me in person? He couldn't understand. Could it be that those people didn't treat me as a friend at all? He was conflicted. Ah. What? Gone. Boo-hoo. What about my little Icy? Lon Lai said in disbelief. How could little Icy abandon him? Of course it was left with them. Liar. Little Icy isn't yours, Lan Ming reminded gloomily and helplessly. Alas. He really didn't understand why his nephew was so interested in a puppy. Boo-hoo, Lan Lai sat on the ground and wailed when he heard that. What's the matter? What happened? Lan Tao's loud voice sounded in the living room. Immediately after, he arrived with a nervous face. Stinky brat, why are you crying? I'm not dead yet. Lan Tao couldn't help but burn with jealousy when he saw his precious grandson crying on the ground without caring about his image. Because he knew that his grandson definitely wasn't crying for him. Little Icy left. Boo-hoo. Stinky old man, I won't be so sad if you die. Lan Lai said without giving him any face. You heartless stinky brat. I raised you up for nothing. You only care about that dog now, eh? Lan Tao was so angry that his face and neck were red as he roared at the top of his lungs. Humph. I was raised by father and mother. What has it got to do with you? Lan Lai said disdainfully. This stinky old man had only been finding trouble with him or causing trouble for him since he was young. When had he raised him? Lan Tao was so angry that he couldn't say anything. Boo-hoo. What kind of stinky grandson was this? All he knew how to do was bully him. The first elder and third elder, who entered behind Lan Tao, were used to the way the grandfather and granddaughter interacted. Therefore, they had no choice but to ignore it. Did the little girl and the others leave? The first elder asked in surprise. Hee, they were really fast. Yes. Lan Ming nodded. Ah. What about Lan Ninger and the others? The third elder asked curiously. Why did this little girl run away without saying anything? Chapter 478, The Bandits That Answer Every Question, 2. In the room, Lan Ming said lightly. Alas. It was time for him to return to Windless City. Damn girl, you ran away pretty quickly, Lan Tao said furiously. That girl took so much money from the elders of the Lan family and ran away without giving him any share as a partner. How infuriating. I'm going back to Windless City too. Lan Ming left after bidding farewell to them. Half a month later. Leng Ruoxue and the others finally arrived at Myriad Mountain City. Leng Ruoxue and the others looked at the towering mountain range not far away standing at the foot of the mountain. There were 3 words engraved on the mountain peak, Myriad Mountain City. They were abnormally excited. Lass, these are all mountains. Where is the trace of a city? Old man Zhao looked at the tall mountain in front of him and asked in puzzlement. Wasn't the Myriad Mountain City a city composed of mountains? Ha, won't we know once we go in? There's a small road into the mountain. Let's go. Leng Ruoxue pointed at the only entrance into Myriad Mountain City. Okay, let's go in and take a look, everyone said excitedly. The place recommended by the little old man shouldn't be bad. Leng Ruoxue and the others walked along the small road and into Myriad Mountain City. They realized that even though Myriad Mountain City was composed of tens of thousands of tall mountains from the outside, but inside, the Myriad Mountain City was similar to an ordinary town. Similar shops stood in great numbers, and it was extraordinarily bustling. However, both shops and inns were built at the foot of the mountain. In other words, the mountain above the shops and inns also belonged to their sphere of influence. It was indeed as the little old man said, almost all the businesses in Myriad Mountain City were in the hands of the 5 major forces because Leng Ruoxue and the others had seen the labels representing the 5 major forces the most along the way. Do you need a place to stay? The waiter stopped Leng Ruoxue and the others and asked as they passed by an inn. Thank you. We won't stay in the inn, Leng Ruoxue declined politely. Are you new to the city? It's getting dark. You will encounter bandits if you walk further in, the waiter reminded them. Are there many bandits in Myriad Mountain City? Old man Zao asked curiously. Of course. There are at least 8,000 bandits in our Myriad Mountain City, if not 10,000. There are so many that it'll scare you to death. I don't think you're all that strong. Why don't you stay here for a night and find someone to be your partner in the morning tomorrow before walking in, the waiter reminded very kindly. Since there are so many bandits in Myriad Mountain City, can staying here guarantee our safety? Len Ruoshua probed. Of course. Our inn is owned by the Ni family, which is ranked second among the 5 major forces. Those bandits won't dare to come at all, the waiter said with a face full of pride. Is that so? Please don't listen to him. This is the safest place in Myriad Mountain City. Those bandits won't cause trouble here at all. A tall middle-aged man with a full beard said. Oh, I see, Len Ruoshua said with a spurious smile. In fact, they didn't intend to stay here even if the middle-aged man didn't remind them. Damn it, how dare you ruin our Ni family's business? You must be tired of living, the waiter roared angrily. More than 10 people ran out of the inn and surrounded the middle-aged man after he roared. Are they about to start fighting? Len Ruoshua asked with a face full of curiosity. Alas! These people's tempers were really too bad. They actually wanted to start fighting after just 2 sentences. Move aside first. I'll deal with you later, the waiter in the inn roared fiercely. Hee, how do you intend to deal with us? Old man Zao asked curiously. He thought this person was not bad when the waiter reminded them just now. Why did he seem like a different person in such a short time? Ah! His attitude changed too quickly. You have to stay in this shop even if you don't want to, the waiter roared with a fierce gaze. Ah, so the second largest inn owned by the Ni family is a black shop. I just found out today that there are actually people forcing others to stay in the shop, old man Zao couldn't help but laugh. That's right. The Ni family is too much. How can they force others to insist on staying here? One of the spectators couldn't help but say. Zhao Jun, this has nothing to do with you. Get lost, the waiter scolded angrily when he saw the person speaking. What? Can't I speak on the Zhao family's territory? The man named Zhao Jun couldn't help provoking. Then he deliberately jumped in front of his shop. Upon hearing their conversation, Len Ruoshua raised her head and looked at the shop behind Zhao Jun. It was also a guest shop, facing the inn where the waiter stopped them. It seemed that their 2 families should be rivals in Myriad Mountain City. She just didn't know that the Zhao family was ranked among the 5 major forces in Myriad Mountain City. Are you sure you want to fight me? The middle-aged man surrounded by the waiter and the others said lightly. No one in Myriad Mountain City dares to ruin our Ni family's reputation, the waiter roared furiously. He had already said it. Wouldn't he be laughed at to death if he didn't fight? Alas! Since you want to fight so much, I'll fulfill your wish, the middle-aged man said very reluctantly. Then the aura on his body changed as if he was a different person. The aura all over his body was released, causing pressure to rise instantly. You, the waiter stammered, his legs trembling non-stop. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate today. This man, who looked a little sloppy, was not a pushover. Boo-hoo. What should he do? Who could save him? Little Snowy, this man is a mystic supremacy, Icy whispered as it lay in Len Ruoxua's arms. However, this man was not very strong. He should have just advanced to mystic supremacy not long ago. Oh. Len Ruoxua looked at the middle-aged man in surprise. It seemed like one really couldn't judge a book by its cover. No one could tell that this man was a mystic supremacy just by looking at his appearance. Senior, please show mercy. I'm willing to bring him to apologize if he was rude to you, a young man suddenly said. Chapter 479, The Bandits That Answer Every Question, 3, The middle-aged man snorted coldly when he heard the man's voice. Then he retracted his might and looked at the person who spoke indifferently. "Senior, I'm really sorry. I was insensible and offended you," the young man said sincerely. "Young master, it's obviously him." The waiter became more confident seeing that the young master was here. He even forgot that he almost lost his life just now. "Shut up. You have no right to speak here. Go back to the clan to receive your punishment," the young man reprimanded. "Yes, young master." The waiter glared at the middle-aged man hatefully and then left the inn very reluctantly. "Hee, I've embarrassed myself in front of you, senior. I'm really sorry. It's all the fault of the Ni family for failing to discipline our people. Please don't take it to heart, senior," the young man said very sincerely, lowering his stance. "Of course I won't take issue with small fry. However, this will only happen once. There won't be another time," the middle-aged man said coldly. "Yes, thank you, senior," the young man said politely. "Aren't you going into the mountain? Come with me." The middle-aged man ignored the man who called himself Ni Fong and turned to Len Ruoxue and the others. "Thank you, senior," Len Ruoxue said politely. She had no reason to decline since someone was willing to be her bodyguard. With that, Len Ruoxue and the others walked deeper into Myriad Mountain City with the middle-aged man. In the depths of Myriad Mountain City, mountains connected the mountains. Len Ruoxue and the others didn't say a word as they walked on the winding mountain road. It was the middle-aged man who couldn't help but speak first. "Do you know why I brought you into the mountain?" the middle-aged man couldn't help asking. "Hee, senior will naturally tell us if you want to. If you don't want to tell us, wouldn't it be a waste of our time asking?" Len Ruoxue replied calmly. "You guys are pretty calm. In fact, the reason why I brought you along is mainly because I'm afraid you will be implicated by me. The Ni family won't let you go." The middle-aged man explained. The Ni family had always been vengeful. They would never let anyone who dared to provoke them in Myriad Mountain City go. The Ni family might not dare to do anything to him, but they would take their anger out on others. "You seem to have been implicated by us, right?" Len Ruoxue teased with a light smile. How could this man offend the Ni family if he didn't meddle in other people's business? "Hee, that's true," the middle-aged man said with a rare smile. "By the way, what are you going to do when you enter the mountain? There are many treasures in Myriad Mountain City, but people without strength will only be courting death if they come," the middle-aged man asked curiously. In his opinion, Len Ruoxue and the others were really too weak. Even the waiter from the Ni family's inn was stronger than them, so he didn't understand why they were going into the mountain. "We want to occupy a mountain and be bandits." "Hee, this ambition is very noble, isn't it?" Old man Zhao answered with a smile. He was so smug. "Ah. It's very noble, but it's not easy to find an ownerless mountain in Myriad Mountain City," the middle-aged man reminded with 2 drops of cold sweat on his forehead. "It's okay. Even a blind cat would be able to meet a dead rat or two at times. Perhaps someone will take the initiative to send the mountain to us later." Len Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Alas. She would not admit old man Zhao's aspirations because they were too low in her opinion and didn't match her character. "Robbery. Hand over everything valuable on you." Dozens of men in black appeared in front of them just as Len Ruoxue finished speaking, and the bandit leader was even muttering loudly. The middle-aged man couldn't help being a little speechless when he saw someone rob him. Was that little girl a god? She actually said it so accurately. There's really a dead rat. Old man Zhao said in surprise. "Dead rat? Where? Where?" the bandit leader shouted in fright. He was most afraid of rats. He was also afraid of them even if it was dead. "Boss, don't be scared. They're just scaring you. How can there be dead rats here? We've wiped out all the rats within a radius of 100 meters. A subordinate hurriedly comforted the flustered bandit leader. "Oh, that's good. The bandit leader was relieved. Damn it, you actually dare to scare this uncle. You're really too evil. So evil. The bandit leader composed himself and then said to Leng Ruoxue and the others very unhappily. We're not scaring you. The dead rats we're talking about is you. Old man Zhao said with a smile. Ah. That's not right. If these bandits were dead rats, wouldn't they be blind cats? Boo-hoo. Old man Zhao was conflicted. He shouldn't be a blind cat. What? How do we look like dead rats? What's with your eyes? The bandit leader couldn't take it anymore. How could he be called a dead rat when he was so handsome? Are you bandits who want to rob? Leng Ruoxue didn't want to discuss the problem of dead rats with him and changed the topic directly. What? Can't you see it? Isn't it obvious? The leader of the bandits said with some displeasure. Was his black clothes with such a bright bandit symbol only for show? You just have to answer me yes or no, Leng Ruoxue said lightly. Yes. The leader of the bandits cooperated obediently. Which mountain do you occupy? Leng Ruoxue looked up at the surrounding mountains. There were a total of 5 mountains in her line of sight, and she didn't know which belonged to these bandits. The largest one, of course. That's our territory, the bandit leader said proudly. Oh, then how many people do you have in total? Why don't you call them all and let me get to know them? Leng Ruoxue coaxed like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Oh, call them all so that I can capture them all in one fell swoop. Save the trouble. We have thousands of people. You will be scared to death if we call them all here, the leader of the bandits said worriedly. In fact, he was only the leader of the bandits' lair. How could he convince others? Moreover, they were the ones who discovered these fat sheep first. If they really went back to call for help, they could not take the credit for themselves, so he was not so stupid. Chapter 480, The Bandits That Answer Every Question. 4, It's okay. We're very bold. We just want to get to know each other, Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Not if I say no. Humph. Our people are not people you can see just because you want to, the leader of the bandits said angrily. He was very displeased with the fact that Leng Ruoxue had always requested to see the other bandits. Could it be that you bandits also know how to be shy? Why didn't you come out to meet the guests? Leng Ruoxue guessed, her face full of realization. Of course not. It's you who isn't qualified to meet them, the bandit leader said after thinking for a while. Alas. It seems like our status is too low, Leng Ruoxue said, pretending to be sad. However, we're new here. Can you tell us about the situation on this mountain? Leng Ruoxue changed the topic and continued asking. That's not a problem. What do you want to know? The leader of the bandits posed as if he would answer any question. I want to know, what other forces are there on this mountain besides you bandits? Did anyone occupy the other 4 mountains? Leng Ruoxue asked after some thought. Of course there are. However, we are the only bandits here. The masters of the other 4 mountains are legendary beasts and are very strong. We don't dare to provoke them. The leader of the bandits organized his words slightly and said. Oh, then what legendary beasts are they? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. There's a white tiger, 2 bears, and... I don't know either. The leader of the bandits thought for a long time before he thought of 3. It's okay. Tell me more about the bandits in your bandits' lair. Leng Ruoxue changed the topic again and continued asking. Didn't I say that we have 1,000 people? What else do you want to ask? The bandit leader lost his patience and asked very unhappily. I just want to know how many powerhouses like you are there. Leng Ruoxue asked with admiration. The strength of this bandit leader was above hers and he was a great mystic. However, he was just a little silly. It was really too easy to deal with him. There are hundreds of powerhouses like me, the leader of the bandits said gloomily. He originally thought that he was already very strong, but he realized that he could only be a small leader in Myriad Mountain City with his strength after coming to Myriad Mountain City. And this was only limited to their bandit lair. If he was among the 5 major forces, his strength was only worthy of being a handyman. Boo-hoo. What about those stronger than you? Leng Ruoxua asked closely. More than 100, the bandit leader answered. His depression deepened with every question Leng Ruoxua asked. He even had the thought of smashing his head against the wall later on. Boo-hoo. Who is the strongest person there? Leng Ruoxua pretended not to understand and continued asking. Of course it's our big boss. The bandit leader said with admiration. What's his strength? Mystic Sovereign. Leng Ruoxua continued to wring information out of him. Alas. She was a little embarrassed asking. The main reason was that this little leader was too honest. He answered whatever she asked and didn't know how to refuse at all. This made her feel very unfulfilled. Yes. How did you know? The leader of the bandits asked, his ordinary face full of surprise. I guessed randomly. I was right. Ha, right, how many roads do we have to go to your bandit's lair? Leng Ruoxua asked again. There's only one. The leader of the bandits pointed at the only road leading up the mountain. Leng Ruoxua looked in the direction he was pointing at. That mountain was very high and the mountain was very steep. There was only one road leading to the top of the mountain, which could be considered easy to defend and difficult to attack. Moreover, the people on the mountain would easily discover anything that happened on the way up, so it was very difficult to attack the mountain unless they could lure the bandits down. How can we get all the bandits in your bandit's lair to attack? Leng Ruoxua asked seemingly unintentionally. Just use this whistle. If we encounter danger, just blow this whistle and someone will come to support us. The leader of the bandits took out a small whistle from his clothes and waved it in front of Leng Ruoxua. Then, he was about to put it away when it was snatched away by a shadow that flashed quickly. Damn it, return it to me. The bandit leader looked at the little purple fox playing with his whistle on Leng Ruoxua's shoulder and roared angrily. You scared my beast, Leng Ruoxua complained with some dissatisfaction. It seemed that she was right to summon Darling just now. Look at this speed, that stupid bandit didn't react at all. Beloved master, he was fierce to me. Darling complained pitifully with tears in its eyes cooperatively. Good, don't be scared. He's just scaring you. Leng Ruoxua coaxed, her eyes looking at the head of the bandits who were at a loss. Ah. I didn't do it on purpose, the bandit leader whispered. Boo-hoo. Why? He was the one who had his things stolen, why was he the one apologizing? He was being foolish. Forget it, we forgive you, Leng Ruoxua said generously. Okay, let me borrow the whistle to play with and I won't be angry with you anymore. Darling put the whistle to its mouth and blew. Ah. No. The bandit leader didn't have time to stop them before the whistle sounded throughout the entire valley. After Darling finished blowing, it immediately threw the whistle back at the bandit leader to destroy the trace. Swish. 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 Before the echo of the whistle completely disappeared, dozens of figures quickly appeared in front of Leng Ruoxua and the others. Moreover, the figures were gradually increasing. In less than 10 minutes, nearly 1,000 people had gathered in front of Leng Ruoxua and the others, and they were surrounded by these bandits. You useless thing. Why are you blowing the whistle with just these few people? The leader reprimanded with a very displeased face. He thought that there were many enemies when he heard the police whistle on the mountain just now. In the end, he realized that there were only 10 people after bringing people down. He was really angry. Chapter 481, Kind Bandit, 1, Second in Charge, No. I didn't blow the whistle. The leader of the bandits felt wronged. Boo-hoo. It was that little fox which blew it, why was he the one taking the blame? The whistle is still in your hand. Didn't you blow it? Could it be me? The man known as the second in charge roared furiously. No, you didn't blow it. But I didn't blow it either. Boo-hoo, the bandit leader wanted to explain, but the more he explained, the more confused he became. No one even knew what he was talking about in the end. Was it a ghost? Tell me, was it your captain who blew it? The second in charge glared at the people behind the bandit leader. Yes. Yes, the lackeys all stammered in fright after being glared at by the second manager. They couldn't say anything except yes. Their reactions also confirmed that the unlucky bandit leader was definitely going to take the blame. Humph. Your subordinates admitted it, yet you still dare to deny it. I'll deal with you later, second in charge said fiercely. Second in charge, I really didn't brag. Boo-hoo, the leader of the bandits felt wronged. Why did they frame him? Humph. You still dare to be stubborn? Drag him away. Second in charge is noted and roared with displeasure. Second in charge, it really wasn't me. It was that little fox who boasted. Boo-hoo. They framed me. The bandit leader suddenly thought of confessing the true culprit in a moment of desperation. After hearing what the leader of the bandits said, second in charge turned his gaze to Leng Ruoxue and the others, and his eyes especially took a few more glances at the small and cute fox. Darling naturally cooperated very well to show its timidity, grievance, and so on. You useless thing, you dare to do but don't dare to admit it, and actually framed a fox. Humph. You really disgraced our village. After seeing it, the second in charge was even angrier, kicking the head of the bandits far away with a kick, and he was even more disdainful in his heart. A mighty man actually framed such a timid fox, how could he be considered a man? Second in charge, Boo-hoo, the leader of the bandits, who was kicked into the air, cried aggrievedly. Unfortunately, he was ignored by everyone. Hand over all the valuable things on you, the second in charge said to Leng Ruoxue and the others with some dissatisfaction after ignoring the leader of the bandits. In his opinion, these people were not fat sheep at all because Leng Ruoxue and the others in his eyes looked malnourished. There was no benefit at all to rob such people. We don't have anything valuable, Leng Ruoxue said while suppressing her laughter. Ha, how could this nest of bandits be so funny? She originally thought that only the leader of the bandits was a little silly, but she didn't expect this second in charge to also be so silly. No. That won't do. You have to at least give me something. We can't work for nothing, or else we will be laughed at if word gets out. The second in charge took a step back and said. We really don't have anything. Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Ha, this was a bandit who cared about face. She didn't expect to meet such a nest of top-grade bandits on her first day in Myriad Mountain City. No, leave your clothes if you don't have money. We can't return empty-handed anyway, the second in charge said with some difficulty after thinking. Ah. Do you want these tattered clothes? Old man Zao looked at the tattered clothes on his body that hadn't been mended in time and said awkwardly. In fact, his clothes were accidentally torn just now. However, he didn't change new clothes because they were in the mountains. However, he didn't expect these bandits to be so poor that they wouldn't even let go of the tattered clothes. Alas! They were living too miserably. Isn't it still wearable after mending? It's better than nothing. The second in charge said nonchalantly. You've had a miserable life. Leng Ruoxue said with incomparable pity. Alas! She had never seen a robber who wanted to rob even tattered clothes. Alas! What choice? There are many people on our mountain. Our boss is also a person who is soft-hearted. The second in charge complained in snot and tears as if he had met a bosom buddy. Ah! What kind of soft-heartedness? Old man Zao was very curious and couldn't help asking. Would a bandit be soft-hearted? Then why was he still a bandit? Basically, our big boss couldn't bear to rob anyone like you, so he was often deceived, and the brothers on the mountain often went hungry because of his soft-heartedness. Boo-hoo. Actually, we are really very pitiful. The second in charge said with a long face. Then get someone else to be the leader. Old man Zao suggested. No, the brothers in the mountains only admire him. Second in charge refused resolutely. Hee, looks like that big boss of yours is quite popular. Old man Zao said with a chuckle. To be honest, this was the first time he had seen bandits who were in such a miserable state in his long life. Of course, second in charge said self-righteously. Second in charge, right? I want to challenge your big boss. Please inform him to accept the challenge. Leng Ruoxue said after listening for a while. Ah. Did I hear it wrong? You're only an elementary mystic, but you actually want to challenge our big boss? Let me tell you, our big boss is a mystic sovereign. The second in charge couldn't help reminding. In his opinion, Leng Ruoxue really overestimated her capabilities. Their big boss could send her flying with a finger. Thank you for your concern, but I didn't say I would do it myself. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. This robber was too much of a henpecked husband. Oh, no matter who fights, if you lose, you have to leave everything on you, second in charge said after thinking. No problem. But if your big boss loses, this mountain will be my territory from now on. Leng Ruoxue was naturally not stupid enough to not fight for her own benefits. Moreover, the reason she led these bandits down the mountain was for this mountain. According to the rules of our myriad mountain city, everything will naturally belong to you if you win. Second in charge said very readily. No one had challenged them for a long time. This kind of opportunity now was even harder to encounter than robbing. Their boss was too strong. Chapter 482, Kind Bandit, 2, okay, then quickly get your big boss to descend the mountain to accept the challenge. Leng Ruoxue said confidently. Wait here. The second in charge took out a whistle and started blowing. A moment later, a black shadow quickly appeared in front of everyone. Second brother, what's the matter? Are you in trouble? A middle-aged man asked anxiously. His second brother would never summon him unless he was in trouble. Therefore, his first reaction after hearing the whistle was that something had happened. Big brother, I'm all right. Someone just wants to challenge you. The second in charge wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said helplessly. Alas. Big brother was just a little too nervous. He was a mystic monarch after all. Why was Big brother always so worried? Challenge me? Who? The leader's gaze was the first to land on the middle-aged man standing behind Leng Ruoxue and the others, and he carefully sized him up. It's not him. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas. They were really ignored. Who is that? Don't tell me it's you, the big boss said with a face full of disbelief. In his opinion, the strongest among these people was the full-bearded man. The others were not qualified to be his opponents at all. I'm just an elementary mystic. Do you think it will be me? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help rolling her eyes and said speechlessly. In fact, she really wanted to fight this man if there were no outsiders around to see how big the difference between her and the mystic emperor was. However, now was not the time to show off. She would have a chance to fight in the future after subduing these bandits. Ah. Who then? The big boss was confused. Were they playing with him? My beast. My beast will fight. A palm-sized white kitten appeared in front of everyone after Leng Ruoxue finished speaking. Ah. Don't tell me it's this little white cat that wants to fight me. The big boss was a little confused. Boo-hoo. He didn't want others to say that he bullied little animals. Open your bull's eyes wide and look clearly. How am I like a cat? White Dawn roared furiously. Damn, this bandit's eyesight was a little too poor. He actually regarded such an elegant and noble white tiger as a cat. The big boss looked up, down, left, right. Finally, he was absolutely sure that this was a cat. Ah. You look like a cat no matter how I look at you. You are a kitty, the big boss said very honestly. Fuck, what kind of gaze is that? I'm obviously a tiger, okay? White Dawn roared furiously, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Tiger? Now, not only the big boss, almost all the bandits looked at White Dawn doubtfully, as if they were thinking, this cat doesn't look like a tiger at all. Leng Ruoxue and the others were at a loss for words. White Dawn. Your transmogrification is that of a cat. Fuck, I can't take it anymore. White Dawn roared, and its body suddenly enlarged. In the blink of an eye, the palm-sized kitten transformed into a majestic huge white tiger. It floated in the air. Ah! It really became a tiger. The bandits were surprised. They had never seen a cat that could become a tiger. This was too magical. In fact, in the knowledge of ordinary people, even transmogrified beasts usually had their original appearance, so they never thought that there would be beasts that were different from their original forms. This was beyond their understanding. White Dawn almost fell from the sky after hearing what the bandits said. Damn! What did they mean by becoming a tiger? It was a tiger. These ignorant bandits. Ah! Leader, could it be a legendary beast from that mountain? A bandit pointed at the mountain next to them and asked cautiously while staring at White Dawn cautiously. You are. The big boss also looked at White Dawn doubtfully. He was very puzzled in his heart. They had been neighbors for many years with the white tiger on the neighboring mountain. Moreover, they had never crossed each other's territory. What did this white tiger eat today? However, what he didn't expect was that the white tiger in the mountain actually had a master. Stop letting your imagination run wild. I have nothing to do with the white tiger in the mountain, White Dawn said with slight dissatisfaction. Humph. It was the white tiger with the purest bloodline. How could those ordinary white tigers be compared to it? Oh. The big boss understood. So they had misunderstood. Hey, let's start fighting quickly. I still have to go back to sleep after fighting. White Dawn said impatiently. It would definitely not be able to resist slapping these offline bandits to death if it stayed for a while. Okay, you attack first. The big boss said very elegantly. Ah. He had always maintained the spirit of caring for small animals. Then I won't be polite. Melting slash. After speaking, White Dawn directly launched his strongest attack. A water blade with a terrifying cold light pounced directly at the big boss. It was now a level 4 transcendent divine beasts, and its strength was equivalent to that of a mystic sovereign. Therefore, it could be considered to be on par with this big boss. Therefore, its fighting spirit was especially high for this battle. After all, it had yet to fight a true mystic emperor after advancing to level 4 transcendent divine beasts. Of course, that stinky Qilin was not included. After seeing the sharp water blade, the big boss unhurriedly used his most powerful earth attribute defensive mystic technique to block the attack of melting slash. However, he was also shocked into a cold sweat because he did not expect this white tiger to be so strong at all. He originally thought that their strength should be equally matched, but he realized that this white tiger's strength was above his after the fight began. Wait, no more. I admit defeat. After only a few rounds, the big boss admitted defeat. Big brother, you haven't lost yet. Why did you admit defeat? Second in charge shouted in puzzlement. Boo-hoo. Big brother can't lose. Otherwise, they wouldn't even have a place to stay in the future. I lost. Its strength is above mine. The big boss would not lie. Therefore, since the big boss said so, the bandits under him had no choice but to accept this fact. Big brother, what should we do from now on? the second in charge couldn't help asking. Chapter 483, Kind Bandit, 3, Yes. Boss, what should we do with our brothers in the future? The bandits couldn't help asking with tears in their eyes. Can you take in my brothers? I know that my request is a little too much, but I really hope that you can agree to this small request of mine. The big boss could see that these people did not seem to wantonly kill the innocent, so he thickened his face and pleaded, alas. Since he had lost, he naturally had to follow the rules of Myriad Mountain City. It did not matter where he was alone, but he could not drag these subordinates and their families along. If you want to stay, I can consider taking them in, Leng Ruoxue said. She had the idea of subduing these bandits, but they seemed to be a big problem, and what she was most afraid of was trouble. Therefore, since the big boss could not bear to part with them, it was better to let the big boss take over. After all, she wanted to subdue the big boss the most. Moreover, she did not think that they would stay in Myriad City forever. This could only be their temporary foothold. After they left, this place needed someone to manage, and the most suitable person was the big boss. Big brother, it's great that you can stay, the second in charge said happily. In fact, according to the rules of Myriad Mountain City, the losing party had to give up their territory and leave. If they wanted to take back their territory, they had to challenge the other party again and win. Therefore, second in charge didn't expect that not only did they not have to leave, but Big Brother could also actually stay. This was really unexpected. Can I really stay? Aren't you afraid that I will find an opportunity to take revenge on you? The big boss probed in disbelief. In his opinion, letting his opponent stay was not a wise move. Therefore, no matter how kind he was, he would definitely not do such a thing. Therefore, he could not understand. You can try if you have the ability, Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. The confidence in her words was impossible to ignore. Ah. I understand. From now on, you will be our leader. Upon hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, the boss immediately made the wisest decision. He might be very kind and easy to be soft-hearted, but he was not stupid. He knew that since the woman in front of him was so confident, she must have other secret means. Moreover, a loss was a loss. He was not a sore loser, so he naturally did not have so many tricks up his sleeves. As for why he asked this question, it was mainly because he did not understand. Those who know the truth are the best. Also, don't call me leader. From now on, you will be the head butler here. Leng Ruoxue nodded with satisfaction and said calmly. Ah. Then what should I call you? The head butler was puzzled. My subordinates call me Mississippi, call me that too. They are my family. Leng Ruoxue pointed at Leng Qingtian and the others. Yes, Mississippi, greetings to the masters. The head butler quickly entered his role and said very respectfully. Miss, nice to meet you, masters. The bandits also bowed and greeted Leng Ruoxue and the others. They had always followed the big boss lead. The big boss had already become his subordinate, let alone them. Alright, there's no need to be so polite. Bring us to the mountain to take a look now. Leng Ruoxue said. Yes, Mississippi masters, this way please. The head butler made an inviting gesture. You, Leng Ruoxue turned her gaze to the bearded middle-aged man and asked hesitantly before going up the mountain. Since you already have a foothold, it shouldn't be a problem to let me stay for a night, right? The bearded middle-aged man asked with a smile. Of course not, Leng Ruoxue said generously. She didn't know this man's identity, but this man had helped them before. It would be a little too unfeeling to chase him away immediately after they had a place to stay. Thank you. The middle-aged man smiled. You're welcome. Leng Ruoxue and the others followed the bandits up the mountain. Upon reaching the mountain, Leng Ruoxue realized that these bandits were actually poorer than she imagined. Moreover, there were actually many old people and children on the mountain, as well as some young women. Their gazes were full of curiosity as they sized them up. "Ah, miss, they are the families of some bandits," the head butler explained shyly. "Alas. Hopefully, miss wouldn't be scared seeing these people." "Oh," Leng Ruoxua answered lightly. "Miss, actually, we robbed most of these people," the second butler said proudly. "Robbed?" Leng Ruoxua looked at the original second in charge and asked in puzzlement. What did this mean? Hee, it's like this. When we robbed them, Big Brother found them pitiful, so he robbed them along the way. This way, they can also be considered to have a place to stay so that they don't have to travel around, the second butler explained. After hearing what the second butler said, Leng Ruoxua and the others had several black lines on their foreheads. They thought to themselves, there are actually such bandits in the world. It's really unheard of. Leng Ruoxua couldn't help feeling a little regretful after seeing the actual situation on the mountain because these bandits were more troublesome than she imagined. They raised so many people who did nothing, so it was no wonder that these bandits often went hungry. After the main butler walked into the hall, Leng Ruoxua sat on the main seat without saying a word. The bandits standing in the middle of the hall naturally didn't even dare to breathe. Leng Ruoxua sat on the main seat and thought for a long time. Then her gaze lingered on the bandits in the middle of the hall. The bandits in the hall, including the head butler and the second butler, couldn't guess what Leng Ruoxua was thinking, but they were all a little uneasy, as if their fate was about to change, which made them feel very uneasy. Chapter 484, Leng Ruoxua's Decision, 1, Head Butler, I don't think I know your name yet? Leng Ruoxua asked with some amusement as she looked at the uncomfortable bandits in the hall. Miss, my name is Wang Long, am 55 years old, unmarried, don't have any bad habits, height. The head butler heard Leng Ruoxua asking for his name and wanted to tell her all his ancestors. However, he was stopped by Leng Ruoxua. Stop. I'm not asking for your hand in marriage. You don't have to explain it so clearly, Leng Ruoxua said helplessly with several black lines hanging on her forehead. Ah. I thought Miss wanted to know more. Wang Long said unpleasantly. He glared at the bandits, who were covering their mouths and laughing secretly, and felt a little depressed. Boo-hoo. He was embarrassed again. I just want to know your name. Second butler, what about you? Leng Ruoxua continued asking. Miss, my name is Wang Ren. My surname is Wang, but we are not related by blood. This is purely a coincidence, the second butler said with a smile. Got it. Leng Ruoxua was a little speechless. She finally realized why these bandits were so stupid. Alas. Could these bandits be smart with two such disconnected masters? Head butler, arrange a quieter residence for us. We don't like to be disturbed. Leng Ruoxua ordered again. Miss, the back mountain is the quietest. However, no one has lived there for a long time, so, the head butler said with a troubled expression. He didn't dare to continue speaking halfway. Is it abandoned? Leng Ruoxua asked in realization. Yes, it has been abandoned for a long time, the head butler said honestly. Beasts would always cause trouble in the back mountain, so as time passed, the back mountain became uninhabited. It's okay. There are so many of you. Cleaning up will be quick, Leng Ruoxua said nonchalantly. Okay then, the head butler replied. He really didn't want Leng Ruoxua and the others to live on the barren back mountain, but since Miss wanted to stay, he, as her subordinate, couldn't refuse. Miss, it's a little late today. Why don't you stay here for the night? I'll bring them to clean up tomorrow morning, and then you can move in. The head butler carefully sought Leng Ruoxua's opinion after some thought. Okay. Leng Ruoxua nodded in agreement. Hee, Miss, old masters, please follow me. The head butler bowed respectfully. Leng Ruoxua and the others followed the head butler to his residence. After making arrangements for them, the head butler tactfully left. In Leng Ruoxua's room. Leng Qingtian and the others arrived at the same time after the head butler left. Swear, these bandits are a big burden. Leng Qingtian said helplessly. He had a rough understanding of the situation here even though he had only been here for less than an hour. Lass, are you planning to raise these people for nothing? Old man Zhao couldn't help asking. I'm not a savior. I'm not related to them at all. Why should I raise them for nothing? Leng Ruoxue said speechlessly. It wasn't easy for her to get some money. She didn't even have enough for her own people. How could she care about others? Moreover, she hated people who had hands and feet but wanted to reap benefits without working. Therefore, it was impossible for those people to count on her to raise them. However, she could think of a way to earn money for them, so they could rely on themselves. After all, robbery was not easy now. Lass, didn't you already subdue them? Old man Zhao asked in puzzlement. In his opinion, subduing should mean they are family, right? Why did the girl's meaning seem different from what he imagined? I'm talking about taking them in. This place is so big, and our own people can't use so many places. Moreover, they have nowhere to go, so we took them in and continued staying here, Leng Ruoxue explained. Those bandits were all mystics and their strength was not bad. Moreover, while possessing such strength would not mean to say that they could do whatever they wanted on the boundless heaven continent, but it was absolutely not something to be underestimated. However, she was not too satisfied with those people because she could not see the characteristics of being a powerhouse or wanting to become a powerhouse in those bandits. Oh, that's good. Old man Zhao was relieved. To be honest, those people were still not worthy of his attention even if they were stronger than him. Ruoxue, what do you intend to do with these people? Lin Liang couldn't help asking. I'll ask the head butler in detail about the situation in Myriad Mountain City tomorrow before making a decision. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. The little old man had only told them the general situation in Myriad Mountain City before he left, so she had to ask the butler about the exact situation. Okay, everyone should rest early today. Leng Qingtian said. He was the first to leave Leng Ruoxue's room after speaking, and the others followed closely behind. After Leng Qingtian and the others left, Leng Ruoxue brought the freak into the bracelet. He, Shuer, those bandits are really not suitable for you. Empty appeared in front of Leng Ruoxue and the freak with a light smile. Yes. Leng Ruoxue was also a little regretful. Those bandits were not her cup of tea, but since she had already taken them in, she couldn't chase them out anymore. Shuer, I can tell you some things if you want to know about the situation in Myriad Mountain City, Empty said with a smile. Tell me about it. Leng Ruoxue's curiosity was piqued. Myriad Mountain City is very mysterious. No one knows how this city formed by mountains appeared, but it has its own rules. For thousands of years, countless families wanted to monopolize Myriad Mountain City, but they were unsuccessful. Therefore, there are many forces in Myriad Mountain City, and it is very chaotic. For example, the bandits in this mountain might not be weak, but their forces can only be considered to be the undercurrent in Myriad Mountain City. Every year, there will be powerhouses or mystics coming to Myriad Mountain City to settle down. Some of them are here for opportunities in Myriad Mountain City, while others are here to seek refuge because they offended some influential families. The terrain here is very complicated, so it's not easy for those influential families to find a person in Myriad Mountain City even if they stretched their tentacles, Empty explained. Chapter 485, Leng Ruoxue's Decision, 2. All the businesses in Myriad Mountain City are monopolized by the 5 major forces. Does that mean that the other forces have to rely on the 5 major forces to survive? Leng Ruoxue asked after some thought. Probably. These 5 forces have probably been operating in Myriad Mountain City for many years, and their forces have long been deeply rooted, so they can stand tall in Myriad Mountain City for many years without falling. Girl, don't tell me you want to replace them. Empty raised his eyebrows slightly and asked calmly. I do have this idea, but I don't know if those bandits have the courage. Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. They definitely didn't. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been living a carefree life, the freak said in realization. In his opinion, it was not easy to make those bandits change their minds. Alas! What a waste of their aptitude. I'll talk to the two butlers tomorrow. Don't blame me for not doing anything if they still want to be like before, Leng Ruoxue said coldly. It's good to talk to them. Hopefully, they know how to take advantage of opportunities, Empty agreed with a faint smile on his incomparably handsome face. Okay, well rest first, Leng Ruoxue said. Then she pulled the freak into the purple bamboo hut. The next day. Early in the morning, the two butlers led the bandits to the back mountain to help Leng Ruoxue and the others pack up. It took nearly a day to finally tidy up a few decent houses. After cleaning, the head butler led Leng Ruoxue and the others straight to the back mountain. After leading them around, the head butler asked anxiously, Miss, are you satisfied? It's passable. Leng Ruoxue looked at the bareback mountain, the few straw huts on the mountain, and then at the butler's expectant gaze, and reluctantly said, Alas! This back mountain was really not an ordinary desolate place. The houses were actually built with straw. Could they be sturdy? Miss, time is too tight, so we can only make do for now. However, don't worry, I've already asked my subordinates to look for wood, the head butler promised. It's okay. This house will do. Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. They wouldn't really stay in this room anyway. Miss, stay here for the time being. I'll send someone to deliver the food, the head butler said. You don't have to worry about our food. However, I have something to tell you. Leng Ruoxue looked at the two butlers and said. Ah. Miss, please say it, the head butler said respectfully. However, his heart was racing because he really didn't know what Leng Ruoxue wanted to say to him. He was not confident. Head butler, tell me about the situation in this village. I want to hear the truth other than what I saw. Leng Ruoxue pulled the freak to a clean place to sit down and then said to the head butler. The head butler stammered for a long time, not knowing what to say. Miss, let me fill you in, the second butler said. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded slightly. There are a total of more than 1,500 people in our entire village. We basically rely on robbery and hunting to survive, so, the second butler couldn't continue because this was really too embarrassing. A mighty mystic actually went hungry. It would definitely cause people to laugh to death if news of this got out. Is filling your stomachs a problem? Leng Ruoxue said without any surprise. It would be strange otherwise with so many people guarding a mountain doing nothing. Ah. We will occasionally starve for 1 or 2 meals, the second butler said softly. Only occasionally. Leng Ruoxue looked up gently and asked lightly. No, we often go hungry. The second butler wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said honestly. Boo-hoo. The miss gave him a lot of pressure. Why was that? The miss was obviously not as strong as him. I don't know why you came to Myriad Mountain City to settle down, but I can tell you that it's really a failure for a mystic at your level to be in such a situation, Leng Ruoxue said honestly. Mystic's status in the boundless heaven continent was very noble. With their strength, they would receive good treatment no matter which family they joined. However, they often don't have enough food. We were originally doing well, but later on, there were more and more people in the village, so, the second butler wanted to defend himself, but he couldn't finish his sentence. Are there more and more people idling around? Don't tell me that those old people, children, and young women don't have to work. They just have to wait for food every day. Leng Ruoxue guessed. Of course they don't have to work. Raising a family is a man's business, the second butler said matter-of-factly. He and his elder brother had the same idea on this point. Are their bodies so weak that they can't do anything? Leng Ruoxue said speechlessly. There were not many mystic cultivators among those people, but they were all spiritualists, including the children. There were also many spiritual deities. One had to know that the spiritual deity was already the strongest on the Ling Feng continent. Why were they so weak that it became a problem to feed themselves? No, but they are family, the second butler couldn't help explaining. Families don't need to feed themselves. Leng Ruoxue was a little surprised. Well, was there something wrong with her understanding? It's a man's duty to raise a family, the second butler said softly, obviously lacking in confidence. Is that so? Listen carefully. Since I'm in charge here now, let me tell you. From today onwards, I won't raise them for nothing. If you want to live a good life, you have to rely on yourself. Leng Ruoxue was a little angry and said impatiently. She really had to give it to these men's way of thinking. They obviously couldn't support their families, but they still liked to puff themselves up at their own cost. Miss, you can't do that, the head butler said hurriedly. It is very difficult for the other forces to survive in Myriad Mountain City except for the 5 major forces. They are not allowed to do business in Myriad Mountain City unless they attach themselves to a particular force and become its vassal. We can't even earn a lot of money by selling the prey we caught to the shops owned by the 5 major forces. The head butler continued to explain. Alas! People who did not know the true situation in Myriad Mountain City would not know how difficult it was to survive on their own in Myriad Mountain City. Chapter 486, Leng Ruoxue's Decision, 3. In that case, are there still factions in your situation? Leng Ruoxue said in disbelief. These mystics were too easy to bully. Yes. In fact, many mystics hoped to create a career when they first came here. However, they didn't expect it to be so difficult to survive here, the head butler said with a sigh. He was also full of ambition when he first came, but time had long worn down his edges. His greatest wish now was for his brothers to live well, and he was satisfied. Did you have such thoughts too? Leng Ruoxue probed. Yes, the head butler nodded and said honestly. What if I give you a chance? Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Ah. I don't understand what you mean, miss, the head butler asked foolishly. If I'm not mistaken, your greatest wish now is for your subordinates to live well, right? Leng Ruoxue said understandingly. Yes. The head butler nodded. If you want them to live well, then you can only become one of the 5 major factions or an existence that surpasses the 5 major factions. Do you have the guts? Leng Ruoxue asked with a light smile. Of course I know that, but it's impossible. No one from the 5 major factions can replace them, the main butler said in surprise, his face full of disbelief. Remember, there is no one in this world that can't be replaced. No one has been able to shake the 5 great factions until now. It can only mean that the person who wants to replace them is not strong enough. Now, I can give you a chance like this. Whether you can grasp it or not will depend on whether you have the guts, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Miss. The head butler was about to speak but was interrupted by Leng Ruoxue. You don't have to say anything now. I'll only give you a day to consider. Come find me here if you've thought it through. However, I won't force you if you still want to maintain the current situation. However, I won't raise your subordinates for nothing. Leng Ruoxue leaned on the freak and closed her eyes without saying anything after speaking. Yes, Mississippi. I will consider it carefully. The head butler left with the second butler. Schwer, do you think they will agree? The freak asked curiously after the 2 butlers left. Yes. Leng Ruoxue opened her eyes slightly and said with certainty. Why? The freak was a little puzzled. Those people might be strong, but they were in a state of disunity, accustomed to being casual. It would probably not be easy to get them to do something earth-shattering. Freak, tell me, if survival is a problem here, why are there so many experts who want to live here? With their strength, they will receive good treatment no matter which family they go to? Len Ruoxue asked. Sure, it seems like the little old man lives quite well here, so this can only mean that survival here isn't a problem. The real problem is themselves, the freak said after some thought. That's right. Therefore, they can still be saved if they can recognize their problems. Otherwise, just starve to death. Don't forget, I said I wouldn't care about them. Len Ruoxue said with a light smile. Sure, I'm afraid it's very difficult for them to be on par with the 5 major factions with their current strength. However, they don't know our trump cards. If they retreat, then, the freak deliberately said half of what he wanted to say. That can only mean that they don't have the luck. However, that butler might look silly but he's actually very smart. That's why I'm so sure he will agree, Len Ruoxue explained. I hope so. The freak raised his eyebrows. Freak, I'm sleepy. Len Ruoxue closed her eyes again. The freak shook his head helplessly, then picked Len Ruoxue up and walked directly into the room. The next day, the head butler and the second butler reported at dawn. In Len Ruoxue's room. Miss, we have already thought about it. We are willing to risk our lives for the future, but miss, do you really have a way to help us? The head butler asked impatiently as soon as they entered the room. What you need to do is to trust me. That's enough, Len Ruoxue said lightly. Yes, the head butler replied. He had thought about it for a long time yesterday and discussed it with his brothers before finally making a decision. The first thing you need to do is to capture the surrounding mountains within 3 days. Len Ruoxue gave the first order. Miss, this is very difficult, the head butler said hurriedly, almost breaking out in cold sweat from fright. What's the difficulty? Aren't they just a few legendary beasts? Len Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Miss, they are not legendary beasts but transcendent divine beasts. There are a total of 5 mountains in our area, and the masters of the other 4 are transcendent divine beasts. Therefore, it will be very difficult to deal with them, the main butler explained as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Are they level 9 transcendent divine beasts? Len Ruoxue asked curiously. No, those transcendent divine beasts should be equivalent to Mystic Sovereign, so I'm not completely confident in dealing with them, the head butler said speechlessly. Alas! How could level 9 transcendent divine beasts be encountered so easily? Then what are you afraid of? There shouldn't be a problem if I get White Dawn to go with you, right? Len Ruoxue asked. That white tiger. There definitely won't be a problem. The head butler was relieved when he heard that there were helpers. It would definitely be no problem to deal with those few transcendent divine beasts if he had that white tiger. Then set off now. Len Ruoxue summoned her beasts and said. Miss, the main butler looked at the dozen or so small and cute beasts in front of him and asked dumbfoundedly. What did Miss mean? He was confused. Big fool, well go and cheer you on. Darling said with a smile while lying in Len Ruoxue's arms. Actually, they strongly requested to watch the commotion. Chapter 487, Len Ruoxue's decision, 4, There's also a cheerleading group. The head butler was a little depressed. He would still have to protect their safety if he brought these cute little animals to the fight. Head butler, don't worry about them. They will take care of themselves. Len Ruoxue saw through the head butler's thoughts and comforted him. Her beasts were not flower vases that could only be decorations. Yes, I understand, the head butler replied. However, he still decided to protect these cute little fellows, except for the white tiger that liked to transform into a cat. Lass! You can't forget us. We want to go too. At this moment, Old Man Zao and the others walked in and looked at Len Ruoxue resentfully. Go if you want to. Len Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas! These old men really wanted to see the world burn. Miss, they want to go too. The head butler said with a bitter face. Boo-hoo. He found himself even more depressed. It was not enough to take care of these little beasts. Now, there were also these old men. They were all Miss' family. He had no way to explain to Miss if anything happened to them. Head butler, don't worry. We won't trouble you. We can take care of ourselves, old man Zao quickly comforted. Alas! It seemed like they were being treated as trouble. He really didn't know who was the real big trouble. Yes, head butler, you don't have to worry about them, Len Ruoshua said with a smile. Ah. I understand, the head butler said. However, he couldn't help but grumble in his heart, saying that I don't have to care. How can I not care if we really encounter any danger? Can we set off now? Head butler, you only have 3 days. Hurry up. Old man Zao urged. He seemed even more anxious than the person involved. Miss, we're leaving then. The head butler braced himself and said helplessly. Okay. Len Ruoshua suppressed her smile and nodded. Then, the head butler and the second butler led the cheer group formed by the little beasts and the old men and set off in a mighty manner. Their first destination was the mountain closest to their village. The owner of this mountain happened to be a white tiger. At the foot of the mountain, everyone and the beasts stopped. Little kitty. The owner of this mountain is your kind. Hurry up and call it out for me to admire. Feng Zhan flew in front of White Dawn provocatively and said with a smile. Damn bird, stay away from me. I don't want to see you now, White Dawn said frantically. It was already very depressed to be sent out by its master to do such a small thing, but now it had to be laughed at by this stinky bird. It was really infuriating, no, it was infuriating. Ah. Stop arguing. Let's go up the mountain to look. The head butler came out to smooth things over. Transcendent divine beasts were different from humans. There were no guards on the mountain peak occupied by transcendent divine beasts. Therefore, if humans accidentally barged in, their lives would not be in danger as long as they did not alarm the transcendent divine beasts. There's no need to worry about that. We just need to let this little kitty howl. Hee hee. Feng Zhan said with a naughty smile. As the saying went, 2 tigers couldn't share one mountain. If that white tiger in the mountain knew that its kind was provoking it at the foot of the mountain, it would definitely jump out without hesitation. Humph. It would be embarrassing if I have to howl just because you want me to howl. White Dawn said arrogantly with a twist of its little face. You want howl, right? Hee hee. Feng Zhan spat out a ball of fire without hesitation and burned White Dawn but... Ouch! White Dawn, which was not mentally prepared, screamed in pain. Immediately, the roar of a tiger reverberated through the entire mountain stream. Cold sweat immediately rolled down the head butler's forehead when he saw this scene. No way. How can this be? That little red bird is really too bold. It actually dared to burn the tiger's butt. Ah. Everyone knows that the tiger's butt can't be touched, but what about burning the tiger's butt? However, before the head butler could continue letting his imagination run wild, he heard a furious roar from the mountain. Which junior dares to cause trouble in this king's territory? Immediately after, a white shadow as fast as lightning appeared in front of everyone and the beasts. Which junior dares to cause trouble in this king's territory? The huge white tiger roared again after appearing. Unfortunately, it was completely ignored by everyone and the beasts because almost everyone and the beasts' gazes were focused on White Dawn and Feng Zhan now. Moreover, every single one of them or the beasts had excited expressions in their eyes. You damn bird, how dare you burn my butt? You're really tired of living. White Dawn endured the pain and roared angrily. Hee hee, I'm helping you howl. Feng Zhan said nonchalantly. This little kitty might be stronger than him, but she was really not afraid of it. Moreover, Provoking it was also one of her pleasures, hee hee. Who wants your help? You bastard, I won't let you go. White Dawn glared fiercely at Feng Zhan and roared furiously. Humph. I'll pluck its feathers if this damn bird isn't my master's beast. Wow, are they going to start fighting? Get a small stool and watch the commotion. After Old Man Zhao said that, he really took out a small stool and a small table from his ring. Then he placed dried fruits and snacks on it, waiting for the show to begin. Lin Liang, the others, and the beasts also mimicked Old Man Zhao. Those with stools took stools, and those without sat on the table. The head butler and second butler wiped the cold sweat off their foreheads when they saw this scene. Their thoughts were, "You're really brave. That white tiger is staring at us covetously from the side, and you're watching the commotion instead." However, they didn't dare to be as casual as Old Man Zhao and the others. Instead, they were a little distracted as they looked at White Dawn and the white tiger that had arrived a while ago from the corner of their eyes. Which junior dares to cause trouble in this king's territory? The white tiger was stunned when it saw that no one bothered with it for a long time. Then it roared again. Shut up! Feng Zhan and White Dawn, who were glaring at each other, roared in unison. Ah! The white tiger was a little dumbfounded. What was going on? They actually dared to ask it to shut up. How dare they? Humph. Weren't they just a bird and a kitten? They actually dared to order it, the Tiger King. How ridiculous. Chapter 488, The Pitiful Peacock. 1. Damn bird, if master didn't forbid us from fighting, I would teach you a lesson now. White Dawn said gloomily after staring for a while. Damn cat, do you have the capability to deal with me? Feng Zhan provoked without fear of death. Hee hee, it knew that this little cat didn't dare to do anything to it. It dared to bully this little cat without any qualms because it had its master as its backer. Damn bird, just you wait. I'll ask my master for a duel with you when we get back. White Dawn said while suppressing his anger. Okay, okay. I'll wait, Feng Zhan said with a smile. She would die for infuriating the cat. Alas. I was excited about nothing. Seems like we won't be able to see a fight anymore, Old Man Zhao couldn't help but say with some disappointment when he saw this situation. He originally thought that he would be able to see an exciting battle between tigers and phoenixes. To his surprise, these two little fellows didn't dare to fight at all. Alas. This lass had really good upbringing. Hee hee, they are afraid that our cute master will be angry. Darling said understandingly. In fact, it was also afraid that its master would be angry. Boo-hoo. Once its cute master was angry, she would ignore it. Yes, yes. That girl is a little scary when she's angry, Old Man Zhao said with lingering fear. Damn it, which junior dares to cause trouble in this king's territory? At this moment, the white tiger, which had returned to its senses, spoke again. It felt very depressed and its self-esteem had been seriously injured because it had never been treated like air by anyone or beast after living for so long. This was its first time. The head butler and the second butler were very sympathetic. They looked at the white tiger that had been ignored for a long time, and their pity for it was like a raging river, flowing endlessly. Ah! It was indeed the most pitiful challenger. Fuck, no one will think you're a mute even if you don't speak. White Dawn roared furiously. It was so angry that it almost forgot about the existence of this thing if this white tiger didn't speak. Damn it, how dare you interrupt our exchange? Are you courting death? Feng Zhan also roared. She was also very displeased with this white tiger who didn't know how to discern the situation. As they spoke, White Dawn and Feng Zhan pounced at the white tiger in tacit understanding. Damn, they were not allowed to fight among themselves, so beating up outsiders should be fine. Therefore, that unlucky white tiger became their punching bag. Come on. Ha, beat it up. Old Man Zhao cheered excitedly. He might not be able to see the tigers and phoenixes fighting, but he could still accept a group fight. Feng Zhan and White Dawn were on the ground, one in the sky, one throwing a punch, and the other shooting flames. They attacked from top to bottom, beating the white tiger until it had nowhere to hide. Wow, big brother, this little red bird is so abnormal too. The second butler whispered sympathetically after seeing the tragic state of the huge white tiger. Two little beasts in their transmogrification state beat up a white tiger that was still in its original form until it couldn't be found anymore. How abnormal were these two little beasts? He knew that the cat was a white tiger, but he didn't know what that little bird was. Ah. Yes. Cold sweat broke out on the head butler's forehead. Boo-hoo. These two beasts were really terrifying. Fortunately, they didn't beat him up. He did not have the strong body of the white tiger. After a long while, the huge white tiger lay on the ground, on the verge of death. Its two front claws hugged its big head tightly, and it kept saying, "I admit defeat, I admit defeat." However, Feng Zhan and White Dawn ignored it. They only stopped after they had vented and were tired of beating it up. That white tiger barely managed to survive. Ayaya, so pitiful. Why did you beat it up so badly? Old man Zhao gloated as he walked to the white tiger's side and patted its huge body. Ouch! Old man Zhao's slap might not be very heavy, but it was fatal for the white tiger, which was seriously injured internally and externally. Boo-hoo! You're so fierce to me. Old man Zhao looked at the white tiger aggrievedly and complained. I didn't. You're hurting me. The white tiger was so angry that it almost vomited blood. However, it had no choice but to explain in the face of a strong enemy who could take its life. Boo-hoo. They were on the same side. So many people and beasts bullying one of it was really too evil. Oh, does it hurt a lot? Old man Zhao asked the obvious, but he still deliberately patted it to verify if what the white tiger said was true. It hurts so much. Stop slapping me, the white tiger whispered weakly. Boo-hoo. Its heart was bleeding. Wouldn't it be better if you admitted defeat earlier so that you can suffer less physical pain? Old man Zhao said nonchalantly while standing. Boo-hoo. I've already admitted defeat, but they still beat me up. The white tiger's bell-like tiger eyes were full of tears as it complained aggrievedly. I mean, how good would it be if you just admitted defeat as soon as you emerged? But what about you? You're still being smug and saying things like which junior dares to cause trouble in this king's territory. Ha! You call yourself this king in front of them. It would be strange if you didn't get beaten up. Old man Zhao laughed hysterically. Boo-hoo, the white tiger choked, thinking to itself, I'm also the king of the mountains. What's wrong with calling myself this king? Boo-hoo. Its biggest mistake was that it didn't consult the stars today and encountered two malefic stars. Alright, don't be aggrieved. Our girls' beasts are famous for being perverted. It's not wrong for you to lose to them, old man Zhao comforted it kindly. However, his words angered Leng Ruox's beasts. Damn old man, who are you calling a pervert? White Dawn, who was still fuming, questioned furiously. Ah. A slip of the tongue, a slip of the tongue. I mean impressive. Old man Zhao quickly corrected himself and looked at White Dawn fearfully. Boo-hoo. He didn't have a body as tough as that white tiger to resist a beating. Hey, you're my little brother from now on. You have to be obedient, understand? White Dawn rolled his eyes at old man Zhao and pointed at the huge, scarred white tiger with his little paw as he ordered. Yes, boss, the white tiger said very obediently. Boo-hoo, would it dare to disobey? Eat this. White Dawn threw a pill to the white tiger. The white tiger opened its mouth and swallowed the small pill. Then it said in astonishment, my injuries are actually all healed. Chapter 489, The Pitiful Peacock, 2, Head Butler. Let's continue. White Dawn ignored the white tiger's fussing and looked at the head butler. Okay. The head butler was speechless. This was too easy. The two beasts were done without him even needing to do anything. Boss, where are we going? The injured white tiger asked curiously. Go and continue expanding our territory. Do you see those 3 mountains? My master said he wants to turn them all into our territory. White Dawn lay on the white tiger's head and said condescendingly. Oh, that's easy. Hee, boss, those 2 bears are my good friends. They will naturally give up their territory obediently as long as I tell them to. The white tiger said confidently. Are you confident? White Dawn asked softly, wondering if he should fight the 2 bears again. However, the defense of the big stupid bears was very abnormal. Yes, they are indebted to me, so they will definitely listen to me as long as I say it, the white tiger explained. Alright, I'll leave it to you. White Dawn patted the white tiger's head with its little paw. No problem. The white tiger agreed very quickly. He didn't expect to have the chance to render meritorious service immediately after acknowledging a boss. Everyone and the beasts came to the foot of the 2 neighboring mountains together. This was the territory of the 2 bears that were transcendent divine beasts. They chose the mountains next to each other because they were biological brothers. After reaching the foot of the mountain, the white tiger immediately shouted at the top of its lungs, Big Harry, Little Harry, welcome your guests. Ling Qing Tian and the others couldn't help but be at a loss for words when they heard the white tiger's words. However, before they could let their imagination run wild, they heard a loud dong. Dong! Dong! Sound coming from the mountains like the earth was shaking. Then 2 earth-yellow giant bears more than 10 meters tall ran out of the 2 mountains. Big White, why are you here? One of the giant bears asked honestly. Of course I came to find you for something, the white tiger said. What is it? Tell us quickly so we can go back to sleep, another bear said. It's like this. My boss master has his eyes on your territory, so can you give it up? The white tiger asked nicely. Give up? Then where are we going? The giant bear that spoke first couldn't help asking. It was not angry at the white tiger's words, but it was very distressed because if it gave up the territory it occupied, then the brothers would have nowhere to go. You can be together with me. Admit my boss as your boss, the white tiger said after some thought. Your boss? Who is it? The 2 bears lowered their heads curiously and looked down at the white tiger. I'm its boss, White Dawn said lazily. Ah. The 2 giant bears were stunned and then looked at the white tiger in disbelief. Big White. You've fallen. How can you recognize a cat as your boss? Fuck, open your bear eyes wide and see clearly. How can I be a cat? White Dawn roared furiously. It was really depressed. It was fine if humans treated him like a cat, but now even beasts treated it like a cat. Could it be that they couldn't feel the might of his bloodline? I observed carefully. You are a cat no matter how I look at you. The 2 bears looked at White Dawn carefully and said with certainty. Ha! Ha! Feng Zhan roared with exaggerated laughter and kept pointing its little wings at White Dawn as if it wanted to say something. Damn it, you're courting death. White Dawn was angry. Moreover, its archenemy was laughing at it from the side, so its anger instantly multiplied. Boss, boss. Calm down. They didn't do it on purpose, the white tiger hurriedly pleaded, and its heart was racing. In fact, when it first saw Big Brother, it also thought that Big Brother was a kitty. At that time, it was very puzzled because it clearly heard an unfamiliar tiger roar. Later on, after it was beaten up by Big Brother and the little red bird, it suddenly realized that boo-hoo. It was because it was too inexperienced. These 2 were not beasts it could offend. Humph. I won't take issue with these 2 big stupid bears on your account this time. I won't let them off easily if there's a next time. White Dawn said indifferently as it gently raised its eyelids. Thank you, boss. The white tiger was very happy. Hee, it didn't expect the boss to give it so much face. Big Harry, little Harry, don't spout nonsense. My boss is very powerful. The white tiger quickly said to its two friends after thanking White Dawn. Phew. That was close. Really? The two bears were skeptical, not realizing that they almost lost their lives just now. Don't you even believe my words? Do you think I will lie to you? The white tiger roared, almost on fire from anxiety in its heart. Hey, calm down. Come, I'll let you eat this. Old Man Zao advised with a smile. He took out 2 pieces of corn and stuffed them into the 2 giant bears' palms. What is this? Big Harry and Little Harry's huge bear faces were full of question marks as they asked in puzzlement. This is your favorite food, corn? Old Man Zao said hurriedly. Back in the Ling Feng continent, he seemed to have heard from the girl that bears like to eat corn the most. Why didn't these two seem to know each other? In fact, the 2 bears really didn't know it because they had never seen it, let alone eaten it. However, the unique fragrance of the corn kept tempting their taste buds. After a while, Big Harry and Little Harry said, "It smells pretty good." Of course it's good. This is one of my favorite foods. Try it quickly and see if it tastes the same as what you've eaten before, Old Man Zao said expectantly, his shrewd little eyes staring intently at the 2 bears. Big Harry and Little Harry hesitated, not knowing whether they should eat it or not. However, the smell was really tempting. The 2 butlers were a little speechless at Old Man Zao's behavior. Could this old man be thinking of seducing the 2 bears with those 2 stalks of corn? How was that possible? Neither of them believed that the 2 stalks of corn would be so attractive. However, they knew after a while that they were wrong. They were too ignorant. There were really beasts in this world who would give up their territory for 2 stalks of corn. Chapter 490, The Pitiful Peacock, 3. In the end, the 2 hairy bears couldn't resist the temptation of the fragrance of the corn. They ate the corn in their paws and became a captive of the corn. If we give up our territory and follow you in the future, can you give us a piece of corn every day? After a long while, the 2 bears hesitantly stated their conditions and strongly requested to follow Old Man Zao. No problem. Corn. You can eat as much as you want, Old Man Zao said happily. Hee, these 2 lackeys were not bad. He could use them as cushions when he was tired. Then we're willing to give you our territory. They finally relented and bowed down for corn. Moreover, they became Old Man Zao's free fighter. Big Harry, Little Harry, you guys really hurt my heart. The white tiger was depressed and complained shamelessly. Boo-hoo. It even boasted in front of its boss that as long as it showed up, they would definitely give up their territory. Unfortunately, it said so much that its mouth was dry. It was actually not as useful as the 2 corn that Old Man Zao took out. Boo-hoo. It hurt its self-esteem. Big White, didn't we agree? They were puzzled. Didn't Big White bring these people here for their territory? What was there to be sad about now that they had agreed? It was really incomprehensible. You didn't agree because of me, the white tiger said, very displeased. Ah. It has something to do with you too. They coaxed and sighed in their hearts together. Hee, Great White, of course you contributed. If you didn't bring us here, we would have started fighting directly, Old Man Zao coaxed tactfully. In that case, my contribution is quite big, haha. The white tiger was a little smug. Oh. White Dawn narrowed his eyes and hummed with slight displeasure. Ah. Boss, we can go to the next mountain, the white tiger said hurriedly, its little heart trembling. Head butler, are we still continuing today? White Dawn asked softly. His master had given him 3 days, and now he was only short of the last mountain. Let's continue. The head butler wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. They hadn't even arrived for half a day, but they had already taken over 3 mountains. Alas! How efficient. Then let's go. White Dawn said. The last mountain was a little far away. Everyone and the beasts walked for about an hour and circled around before they finally arrived at the foot of the mountain. Bears. What kind of beast is the owner of this mountain? Old Man Zao asked curiously. The mountain in front of him was the smallest among the 5 surrounding mountains, so he guessed that the owner of this mountain probably wouldn't be a beast that was too big. It seems to be a bird. Big Harry looked at Feng Zhan and said with uncertainty. It was not very familiar with the beasts in the mountain. Damn bird, did you hear that? They are your kind. White Dawn raised its eyes provocatively. Humph. Who said that birds are my kind? Stupid cat with no common sense. Feng Zhan retorted. The 2 beasts were ready to start fighting again. However, this time, it disappointed those who wanted to watch the commotion because Feng Zhan and White Dawn ignored each other after saying that. We have to think of a way to lure the owner of this place out, the head butler suddenly said. However, his words quickly received the looks of disdain from everyone and the beasts because everyone and the beasts knew that what he said was useless. Head butler, I'll leave this mission to you. Old Man Zao patted the head butler on the shoulder as though he was entrusting him with an important task. All right then, the main butler said helplessly. He took a few steps closer to the foot of the mountain, then released all his aura, and released a stream of mystic energy halfway up the mountain. His provocative behavior quickly worked. In the blink of an eye, a beautiful bird covered in 5-colored light jumped out of the mountain. Everyone looked carefully and realized that it was a peacock. This peacock was about 2 meters tall, had exquisite feathers, and was abnormally beautiful. Its glass-like eyes were staring coldly at the butler. You and I have always respected our boundaries. Instead of staying in your bandit's lair, you actually came to provoke me. You really deserve to die, the peacock said with abnormal anger, its glass-like eyes seeming to spit fire. You recognize me? The head butler said foolishly. He thought these beasts only liked to sleep. He didn't expect this peacock to recognize him. Humph. You are the stupidest and most foolish bandit I have ever seen. Which beast in these mountains doesn't know you? The peacock said nonchalantly. Ah. The head butler was depressed. He didn't expect himself to be so famous. Ha! Head butler, I didn't expect you to be so famous. Old Man Zao laughed hysterically. The others and beasts also grinned happily, but they were not as exaggerated as Old Man Zao. Ha! Old Man Feng, your beast has a partner now. After laughing enough, Old Man Zao patted the Feng family's first elder's shoulder affectionately. Okay, Sparrow Feather, come out. First Elder Feng nodded and then summoned his beast. Peacock-type beasts were very rare. Hee hee, Sparrow Feather. Your master found you a wife. Old Man Zao looked at Sparrow Feather that was about the same size as the peacock and smiled evilly. He actually began to make them a couple out of boredom. Damn old man, damn it. Tell me again, who is the wife? The peacock roared furiously when it heard Old Man Zao's words. It was originally quite happy to see its own kind, but Old Man Zao's words drove it crazy. You're a female. You have to be gentler. Otherwise, our Sparrow Feather won't like you, Old Man Zao said earnestly without any doubts. Ah. Sparrow Feather was speechless. Damn it, I'm a male, you're the wife. The incomparably beautiful peacock was so angry that its entire body was on fire. However, its good upbringing still made it resist the urge to tear this stinky old man apart. Chapter 491, The Pitiful Peacock, 4, Are you sure? Old Man Zao asked doubtfully, feeling a little disappointed. Alas! Such a beautiful bird was actually a male. This was too shocking. Nonsense. Don't tell me I don't know my own gender, the beautiful peacock roared uncontrollably. Calm down, calm down. What about you? Old man Zao turned his gaze to Sparrow Feather and asked expectantly. He really wanted to send these two beautiful birds to mate. I'm a male too, Sparrow Feather said quickly. Oh, actually, two males are alright too. Old man Zao smiled wretchedly as he sized up the two equally beautiful peacocks. He deliberately left half of his sentence hanging. No. Tell me, what are you doing here? The beautiful peacock's eyes widened as it asked fiercely. We've taken a liking to your mountain. I don't know, the peacock interrupted old man Zao before he could finish. If I give you this mountain, can you scram as far away as possible? The beautiful peacock looked at old man Zao with disdain. It really hated this old man to death now. Humph. If it weren't for the fact that the other party had the advantage in numbers, it would definitely teach this damn old man a lesson. You despise me? Boo-hoo. I'm so sad. Old man Zao was aggrieved, and his eyes were red. Are you really willing to give up the mountain to us? The head butler asked in disbelief, ignoring old man Zao's act of pity. What happened today? Why were these beasts so easygoing? Yes, I'll give it to you, the beautiful peacock said. Humph. It was not stupid. These people were obviously determined to win. If they were to fight, it would definitely not be their match, so what was the point of fighting? It was not like it had nothing better to do. After speaking, it flew in preparation to leave this place. Unfortunately, it was knocked unconscious by Feng Zhan before it could fly too high. It'll be my underling from now on. Feng Zhan flapped her little wings and said nonchalantly. Ah. The main butler broke out in cold sweat again. This little red bird was really barbaric. It actually knocked out this 2-meter-tall giant bird. Amazing. Carry it for me. We're going back to the village. Feng Zhan ordered the two butlers. Yes, the two butlers answered obediently. In this way, the main group returned to the stockade with great fanfare after completing the mission. The two butlers resigned themselves to fate and carried the tragic peacock, following behind everyone. After successfully taking the other 4 mountains into their possession, the butler no longer dared to underestimate these beasts. They might look cute and harmless on the surface, but in fact, none of them were easy to deal with. Ah. To be precise, they were all perverts. After returning to the village, Darling and the other beasts shouted at the top of their lungs as soon as they entered the back mountain, "Master, we're back." Leng Ruoxue and the freak walked out of the room and looked at the crowd in front of them with a smile, as well as the excited beasts, knowing that their mission was completed. "Master." All the beasts found their spots and stuck to Leng Ruoxue. "You naughty brats, did you cause trouble for Master?" Leng Ruoxue teased with a light smile. "Master, we are so cute. How can we cause trouble for you?" Dazzle said aggrievedly. "Boo-hoo. Master is really too evil. How can you think of them like this?" "Ha!" Leng Ruoxue gently caressed the soft fur on the little black fox and laughed happily. "Hello, boss master." At this moment, the white tiger couldn't help but say. It had to let the boss master notice its existence. "Where did this white tiger come from?" Leng Ruoxue asked the advisor. "Master, it's my new underling," White Dawn said lazily. "Oh, what about the 2 bears?" Leng Ruoxue looked at the 2 giant bears standing behind old man Zao and asked curiously. "Hee, lass, they're my underlings." Old man Zao said with a slightly pale face, full of pride. "Yes, he tricked them with 2 stalks of corn," the old man said eccentrically. All right, he admitted that he was jealous. This damn old man was really too lucky. Ah. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Leng Ruoxue's forehead. She didn't expect the bears in this world to also like to eat corn. Could it be that the preferences of animals were all the same? By the way, where are the two butlers? Leng Ruoxiu glanced at everyone but didn't see the two butlers and couldn't help asking curiously. Miss, we're here. The two butlers were panting from carrying the peacock. They hurriedly put down the heavy object in their hands and ran to Leng Ruoxiu when they saw her. Head butler, what are you carrying? Leng Ruoxiu couldn't help asking. She only took a casual look just now, but she really couldn't tell what it was. It looked like a bird. Hee, master, that's my underling, Feng Zhan said with a smile. Ah. Why did you take in an underling as well? Leng Ruoxiu was a little puzzled. Feng Zhan had many people already, so why did she take in an underling? The little kitty took one. Of course, I can't lose out to it, Feng Zhan said matter-of-factly. You damn bird. Master, I request to duel with this damn bird. White Dawn said through gritted teeth. No. You have to be as close as brothers to the outside world. You absolutely can't kill each other. However, normal sparring can still be allowed. Leng Ruoxiu looked at the slightly smug Feng Zhan and said with a naughty smile. Master, then I request to spar with this dead bird, White Dawn said hurriedly. It was originally quite disappointed to hear Leng Ruoxiu say so, but it didn't expect it to spar with this dead bird. Hee. There was no need to be polite. Anyway, whether it was a duel or a spar, it would be fine as long as it could teach this dead bird a lesson. Okay, approved, Leng Ruoxiu said with a smile. Master, this kitten is stronger than me. This is unfair to me. Boo-hoo, Feng Zhan said pitifully with a bitter face. Feng Zhan, you have to believe in yourself. Moreover, sparring with opponents stronger than you is very beneficial for you. Leng Ruoxiu smiled gently and comforted her. Chapter 492, New Mission, 1, That's right, hee. Damn bird, let's spar. White Dawn smiled evilly and pounced directly at Feng Zhan. I don't want to. Feng Zhan flapped her small wings and flew away. Humph. Do you think I don't have wings? White Dawn used its wind attribute mystic technique, and a small pair of green wings appeared on both sides of its waist. It flapped them gently twice before chasing after Feng Zhan. Boss is so powerful. He actually grew wings, the white tiger said foolishly. It looked at the pair of wings of White Dawn, who was chasing the little red bird in the sky, with great desire. Schwer, are they serious? Leng Qingtian asked worriedly as he looked at the two little beasts that were already fighting. Yes, Grandpa, don't worry. They know their limits, Leng Ruoxiu comforted. That's good. Leng Qingtian was relieved. He didn't want to see both sides suffer. Where am I? At this moment, the peacock, which had woken up, was dizzy and could not tell what was going on. Ah! Damn it, who knocked it out? Its head was still hurting. This is our residence. Leng Ruoxiu kindly explained to the peacock. Ah! Damn it, who knocked me out and brought me here? The peacock roared furiously as it slowly woke up. Shoo, be quiet. The one who knocked you unconscious is in the sky. It doesn't have a good temper, the white tiger reminded softly as it walked to the peacock and looked at the sky. Ah! The peacock raised its head and looked at the sky curiously, only to find a flying cat and a little red bird that could breathe fire fighting in the sky. At this moment, they were locked in a fierce battle. Feathers and cat fur flew in the sky, falling like snowflakes. The other beasts were hurriedly picking up the fur that they had dropped and handed it to the woman who had spoken to it just now. See? That kitten is my boss, and little red bird is your boss. They are all very fierce, so we have to be good, the white tiger said very cautiously. My boss. The peacock was puzzled. It had always been alone. When did it recognize its boss? Why didn't it have any impression of him? Little peacock, since Feng Zhan accepted you, you can be considered my beast from now on. As my beast, unity is a must, understand? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help speaking as she listened to the conversation between the two beasts with some amusement. Yes. The peacock felt dizzy and sold itself off in a daze. It did not understand how it was agreed until a long time later. Good. Leng Ruoxue caressed the peacock's feathers gently and praised it. Don't touch me casually. I will be shy. The peacock lowered its head shyly. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but be at a loss for words. What kind of bird is this? It's thinking too much. Master. After fighting enough, White Dawn and Feng Zhan took the initiative to stop fighting and were in a very sorry state. They stood in front of Leng Ruoxue like little wives, waiting to be reprimanded. Did it satisfy you? Leng Ruoxue suppressed her smile and asked lightly as she looked at the two beasts hanging on her body. That was satisfying, White Dawn and Feng Zhan said in unison, feeling very nervous. Are we still fighting in the future? Leng Ruoxue asked. We won't fight anymore, the two beasts said hurriedly while thinking in their hearts at the same time. Was their master angry? Okay, go back and rest first. Leng Ruoxue nodded slightly, leaving Charm and Darling outside. She sent the other beasts into the bracelet. Grandpa, let's sit in the house and talk. Leng Ruoxue turned her head and said to Leng Qingtian and the others. Okay. Everyone nodded and followed Leng Ruoxue into the house. After everyone found a seat and sat down, Leng Ruoxue said, Butlers, what do you think? Miss, the head butler and the second butler looked at each other, not knowing how to say it. In short, they felt like heroes were useless this time. Miss Beast was too abnormal. They didn't even have the chance to attack before the matter was resolved. Head butler, the next mission, I request that you take in all the forces with similar situations as yours for use within a month. Leng Ruoxue continued to order. In fact, she knew what these two people were thinking. However, she couldn't help with this. Her only hope was that they wouldn't go to the extreme. The head butler was a little dumbfounded. This was an impossible task for him. How could a month be enough? What? Not confident. Leng Ruoxue raised her eyebrows and asked very casually. Time is a little tight, the head butler said honestly. There should be no problem if it took longer with the help of Miss Beasts. However, a month was impossible. Head butler, a month is enough, Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. This was the final decision she, the freak, and Empty had made after discussing. Head butler, don't worry. We will continue to help you, Old Man Zhao patted the head butler's shoulder and said loyally. Thank you. The head butler nodded gratefully. My beasts will still move with you. Moreover, I just want the result no matter what you do, Leng Ruoxue continued. Yes, the head butler said quickly, even though he wasn't too sure. He would do his best no matter what because it wasn't for others but for themselves. Rest early today and continue tomorrow, Leng Ruoxue said. Yes. The head butler left the room with the second butler. Shuer, send us to the space to sleep today. Leng Qingtian said. They hadn't entered space for a long time, and there would be a big operation tomorrow, so they would go in and have a good rest today. Chapter 493, New Mission, 2, Okay, Leng Ruoxue answered and stored everyone in the bracelet. Two Harrys, this place isn't bad, right? After entering the bracelet, Old Man Zhao pointed at the beautiful scenery in the space and said to the two imitated bear cubs on his shoulder. The two bears were obviously dumbfounded. Everyone, rest early. Leng Ruoxue looked at Old Man Zhao, who was getting cocky again, helplessly, and pulled the freak into the purple bamboo hut. The next morning. Leng Qingtian and the others, who had long been prepared, set off with them after the two butlers reported. In the bracelet, Leng Ruoxue and the freak sat on a stone chair in the space and chatted. "Sure, aren't we going to take a look?" the freak asked with a chuckle. "No. There won't be a place for them to perform if we go." Leng Ruoxue glanced at the freak and said indifferently. "Hee, that's true," the freak agreed. "However, Shuer, aren't you worried about them?" "The mission this time is much more difficult than the previous one," the freak asked curiously. "What's there to worry about? They're not weak either. They won't be in danger as long as they don't provoke supremacy." Xian, Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. "That's true. Shuer, what should we do?" The freak smiled seductively, and his eyes began to glow again. "Let's go cultivate," Leng Ruoxue said. She had already felt faint signs of a breakthrough in the heaven-defying skill these few days, so she wanted to try. Alas. "All right then," the freak said with a bitter face, slightly displeased. "Let's go." Leng Ruoxue stood up and pulled the freak directly into the cultivation room in the purple bamboo hut. At the same time, the head butler and the others had already arrived at their first destination today. "Head butler, do you know the owner of this place?" Leng Qingtian asked curiously. "Yes, we've met several times. He's one of my few friends in Myriad Mountain City," the head butler explained. "Hee, head butler, your friend seems to be doing better than you. At least, the mountain he occupies is much larger than yours," old man Zhao praised as he looked at the towering, upright mountain in front of him. "Yes, even though we are both mystic sovereigns, his strength is above mine," the main butler said very honestly. The strength of mystics of the same level was also different. Some were strong, while others were very ordinary. For example, he was above average. "Oh, how is he compared to our White Dawn?" Leng Qingtian looked at Baisu, who was sleeping on the white tiger, and asked curiously. "Their strength should be comparable," the head butler said after some thought. "Is that so? Then let me try later," White Dawn said with its eyes closed. It was only a level 4 transcendent divine beasts, but it was still very confident in its strength. Moreover, it didn't think that a human mystic sovereign would be its match. "Ah. Okay," the head butler answered helplessly. Alas. He was also a battle maniac. "Head butler, quickly get your friend out. Let's end this quickly. We have to go to several places today." Old man Zhao said impatiently. He might not like to fight, but he liked to see the world burn. "Okay." The head butler formed a ring with his index finger and blew on it. After the whistle sounded, a loud whistle echoed in the mountain not long after. "Wow, there's actually a contact code," old man Zhao said excitedly. "Ah. Yes," the head butler said shyly with a red face. "Wang Long, why do you have the time to look for me?" A deep male voice sounded in everyone's ears as the whistle faded. Immediately after, a burly middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone. "Of course I'm here for something," the head butler said. "Say whatever you have something to say." "Ha," the middle-aged man said a little roughly and then laughed out loud. "Let me introduce him to you. His name is Qing Wu, and he is my good friend." The head butler pointed at the middle-aged man. Then he pointed at Leng Qingtian and the others and said to the man named Qing Wu, "They are my young lattice relatives and beasts." "You're young miss. Don't tell me you joined the 5 major factions." Qing Wu said resentfully, his resolute face full of anger. "No. Someone challenged me, but I lost, so I became her butler," the head butler explained simply. "Ah. You lost?" Qing Wu was a little surprised. Wang Long's strength was second only to his. Even he had to go through a lot of trouble to defeat Wang Long. He didn't expect someone to defeat him, and Wang Long was willing to submit to others. "Yes, I lost." The head butler nodded. "I also want to challenge whoever won against you," Qing Wu suddenly said, and his fighting spirit was high. Whoever could defeat Wang Long was definitely an expert, and exchanging blows with experts had always been his greatest interest. Do you want to challenge me? White Dawn asked indifferently. Ah. Who's talking? Chen Wu couldn't help asking after searching for a long time but didn't find the person who spoke. It's me. White Dawn said impatiently. Did this human do it on purpose? It was a little angry. Where? Chen Wu still couldn't find it and was still searching around. Look down. White Dawn roared furiously. Is that you? Chen Wu lowered his head obediently and looked at the kitten lying on the white tiger in front of him, asking uncertainly. Nonsense, it's me, White Dawn roared angrily. Big brother, let's calm down and not stoop to the level of this kind of blind human, the white tiger quickly coaxed. Boo-hoo. This was not its fault. It originally wanted to return to its original form, but Big Brother despised its original form for being too big, so it became the size of a normal tiger. Okay. White Dawn nodded and decided to listen to his little brother. Chapter 494, New Mission, 3, You defeated Wang Long. Chen Wu probed because he didn't believe that such a small cat could defeat Wang Long, who was a mystic sovereign. How was this possible? Yes, it's me. White Dawn said arrogantly. It had decided to teach this man a lesson later. He had poor judgment after all. How dare he look down on it? It would let him know why flowers were so red. Chen Wu looked at White Dawn, then turned to look at Wang Long. He finally believed it after receiving Wang Long's gaze. Therefore, he said, can I challenge you? Of course you can. However, since it's a challenge, we have to follow the rules of Myriad Mountain City. You know what to do if you lose, right? White Dawn raised his eyes slightly and asked calmly. I know. If I lose, I will give up my territory, Chen Wu said very honestly. No, if you lose, you have to be my underling. White Dawn took the liberty to add another line. Okay, no problem, Chen Wu replied after some thought. Then let's begin. I'll let you make the first move since you're my future little brother. White Dawn floated in the air with a light smile, looking very happy. Leng Qingtian and the other beasts consciously made way for them and retreated to the side to watch the battle after they were about to fight. I won't be polite anymore, Chen Wu said. Then, his aura suddenly changed, and he took the lead to attack. White Dawn jumped up and down lightly, avoiding Chen Wu's attack. Then, he found the right opportunity to release a stream of water attribute mystic energy, and water droplets floated gently in the sky, surrounding Chen Wu. Chen Wu's powerful aura retracted and released, easily shattering the small water droplets. Then, green wind blades attacked White Dawn non-stop. However, because White Dawn was still in its transmogrification state, it was easy to dodge. Chen Wu was a little angry when he saw this scene. This little kitten was petite and very agile. It was not easy for him to hit it, so even though he had used several moves, he did not hit it at all. However, what made him even angrier was that the kitten could hit him with every attack. It was not very painful, but he could not take it anymore. Big guy, be careful. I'm going to be serious. White Dawn said provocatively. Chen Wu was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Damn it, you've been playing with me for so long. At this point, he didn't hold back anymore, and the moves he used became fiercer and fiercer each time. Big guy, take my melting slash. White Dawn shouted and gathered all the water attribute mystic energy in its body onto its little paw. Then, it threw it in Chen Wu's direction. Bang! The melting slash that was thrown at Chen Wu exploded. Chen Wu's location was shrouded in black smoke in the blink of an eye. When the black smoke slowly disappeared, the place where Cheng Wu was had already been blasted into a deep pit. Cheng Wu was covered in dirt and lying motionlessly in the pit. After a while, seeing that Cheng Wu still had no reaction in the pit, everyone and the beasts around the pit couldn't help discussing spiritedly. There's no reaction yet. Could he be dead? Old man Zhao said worriedly. This fellow would be the main force in the future. Wouldn't it be a pity if he died like this? Damn cat, why did you hit me so hard? Alright, this fellow is dead. Let's see how you explain it to master when you get back. Feng Zhan gloated. Damn bird, who told you he was dead? He should have just fainted, White Dawn roared furiously. Boo-hoo. How could it be blamed? If that guy hadn't used his mystic technique to block it, how could it have exploded? However, it was still very confident in attacking itself. With the strength of the Mystic Emperor's body, the mystic energy it used just now would definitely not be able to kill it. After a while. Don't tell me he really died, the head butler said worriedly. In fact, he didn't believe that Cheng Wu would die so easily. However, it had really been a long time since Cheng Wu had any reaction. It's possible. Since he's dead, let's bury him directly so that we don't have to dig a hole. Hee hee. Darling said with a naughty smile, its beautiful silver eyes full of curiosity. In its memory, its cute master would grow whatever she planted, so it really wanted to know if it could grow a person after planting this person. Darling, you're too evil. However, what you said makes sense. Ling Qingtian picked up Darling and said helplessly. Alas. Why were Shuer's beasts so naughty and cute? Ha, lovely master's grandfather, what are we waiting for? Hurry up and bury it. Darling said excitedly and raised its little paw to lead the way into the pit. The other beasts also imitated Darling and threw dirt into the pit seeing that he was having fun. Big brother, do we really have to bury him? The second butler asked hesitantly. He was a little hesitant. Did Big Brother Cheng really die so easily? Alas. Buried. The head butler nodded and said sadly, muttering in his heart, Cheng Wu, have a good journey. Bury your head. I'm not dead yet. Cheng Wu, who was lying in the pit, used all his strength and roared furiously. Damn it, these heartless fellows. He had fainted, and no one came down to save him. Moreover, he had just woken up a little when he heard these people saying that they wanted to bury him. He was so angry. However, he couldn't speak at that time, and his body couldn't move, so he could only watch helplessly as they threw the soil at him. However, he could finally speak now. Otherwise, he would really be the first mystic sovereign buried alive. Ah. So he didn't die. Darling said with some disappointment. There was finally a chance to experiment. Boo-hoo. Do you really want me to die? Cheng Wu said speechlessly with his eyes half open. What kind of tone was that? It seemed like he was very disappointed that he didn't die. Chapter 495, New Mission, 4, we were already mentally prepared for your death. Who knew that you would actually come back to life? Alas. Darling sighed helplessly. Cheng Wu was depressed. He was not dead yet, he was wrong. Boo-hoo. Was there any justice in this world? Whose little fox was this? Why was it so cute? Alright, everyone, cut it out. Head butler, go down and save him. Ling Qingtian couldn't bear to watch any longer and tried to smooth things over. Alas. If he continued, this fellow would probably be angered to death even if he wasn't blasted to death. Boo-hoo, Cheng Wu was so touched that he was about to cry. Someone was finally being kind. What a good person. Yes, the head butler and the second butler answered quickly and jumped down the pit to save Cheng Wu. Little brother. You're really too suicidal. Why did you resist? You're asking for trouble. White Dawn jumped to Cheng Wu's chest and looked at him with some accusation. Ah. I was wrong. Cheng Wu wanted to cry but had no tears. Boo-hoo. Whose beasts were these? Why were all their mouths so poisonous? It's good that you know your mistake. Come, open your mouth and eat this. White Dawn said very thoughtfully. After speaking, it threw a pill into Cheng Wu's open mouth. Cheng Wu's injuries quickly recovered after taking the pill. He patted the dust off his body and stood up. Then he bowed to White Dawn and said, Thank you for the pill, big brother. He had to admit defeat. You're welcome. You're my underling. You'll have meat to eat if you follow boss in the future. White Dawn said proudly. Yes. Cheng Wu's forehead dripped with 2 drops of cold sweat. He thought to himself, what a stinky kitten. He probably had to follow this cat's master from now on. Hey, big guy, you're thanking the wrong person. That medicine belongs to my master, not this damn cat, Feng Zhan said with some dissatisfaction. Humph. He just couldn't stand this damn cat being too smug and insisted on undermining this damn cat. Ah. Got it. Cheng Wu braced himself. In fact, he obviously knew that it was impossible for cats to concoct pills, but he couldn't say it out loud. Damn bird, Masters is mine, White Dawn roared furiously. Stop arguing. Business is more important. Ling Qingtian quickly stopped the 2 restless little fellows when he saw that they were about to quarrel again. Yes, Master Grandpa, White Dawn and Feng Zhan answered very obediently. They were like 2 beasts compared to their aggressive appearance just now. Head butler, tell Cheng Wu about our arrangement. Ling Qingtian ordered. Yes, the head butler answered and then explained Ling Ruoxu's order and plan to Cheng Wu. Cheng Wu fell silent after hearing this. After a long while, he jumped up excitedly and laughed. Ha! Is this true? This is great. Of course it's true. Don't doubt my master's words, White Dawn said with slight dissatisfaction. Ah. That's not what I mean. I want to say that this idea is very good, but it's very difficult to succeed, Cheng Wu said worriedly. For many years, there had been people who wanted to replace the 5 major factions and change the current situation in Myriad Mountain City. However, no one had succeeded. Otherwise, Myriad Mountain City would not be what it was now. Humph. It doesn't mean that my master can't do what others can't, White Dawn said confidently. His master would definitely succeed with their help. Yes, my master will definitely succeed, Feng Zhan agreed. Their reactions had always been the same when it came to matters related to their master. Of course. Cheng Wu hurriedly echoed. He couldn't provoke little beasts that protected their masters. He had yet to meet the masters of these beasts, but his respect for their masters was already like the raging river. He was really too curious. What kind of master could raise such a special beast? Yes. Cheng Wu was very excited. This plan was very difficult, but how could he let go of this opportunity since they were so confident? After all, this was his wish for many years. Let's continue. Ling Qingtian ordered, and the main group continued their mission for the day. A day passed quickly, and they returned to the village collectively after completing all the missions. At this moment, Ling Ruoxue, who was cultivating in space, brought the freak out of the bracelet and into the yard after hearing her beast's voice. Master! All the beasts hurriedly pounced on Ling Ruoxue when they saw her. On the other hand, Cheng Wu and the others who had just joined today looked at Ling Ruoxue curiously and sized her up because they were very curious as to what kind of person was the master that the beasts mentioned being able to obtain their love and respect. However, they realized that Ling Ruoxue was very different from what they had imagined at first sight. The Ling Ruoxue in front of them was really too ordinary. Ah! Of course, that was only their implicit thoughts. Why? Are you very disappointed to see me now? Ling Ruoxue teased. No. It's just that you are a little different from what we imagined, Cheng Wu said very honestly. He really didn't expect Leng Ruoxue to be so ugly. Therefore, the excuse he prepared was useless. Ha, get used to it. Looks don't mean anything. Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Yes, I'm Cheng Wu. Cheng Wu nodded. Yes. Strength was the most important as a cultivator, appearance was secondary. Leng Ruoxue. Welcome. Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. The others introduced themselves one after another after Leng Ruoxue finished speaking. After everyone was introduced, Leng Ruoxue said, Cheng Wu, bring a team tomorrow and split up with the main butler. We must take in all our target forces within a month. Yes, I promise to complete the mission. Cheng Wu was so excited. He didn't expect to be entrusted with such an important task just after joining, hee. Chapter 496, New Mission, 5, yes, very good. Follow our plan to gather those scattered forces. As for me, I will temporarily enter seclusion to prepare for my breakthrough. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. If there's anything you don't dare to decide, discuss it with Grandpa and the others and decide on your own. Leng Ruoxue looked at Leng Qingtian and the others and continued. What she implied was that if there was something that couldn't be resolved, she would look for No to help. She believed that Grandpa and the others would understand. Yes, everyone answered. All right, go and rest early. Also, be careful and don't leak the news. Leng Ruoxue reminded them last. Everyone nodded in unison and then left Leng Ruoxue and the others' residences tactfully. Shuer, why are you going into seclusion now? Leng Qingtian asked in puzzlement after the main butler and the others left. He thought that Shuer would only start her seclusion after the task was over. I feel like I'm about to break through these few days, so I want to work hard and see if I can break through successfully. Leng Ruoxue explained. She shouldn't be in seclusion for long this time. Oh, then go into seclusion first. Well, enter seclusion after the matter here is over, Leng Qingtian said. Since Shuer already had a premonition, it shouldn't be long before she could break through. It would be a good thing for them if Shuer could advance to become a great mystic. This way, their overall strength would be stronger. Yes, Grandpa. If you want to enter the space, just call Qing Ju by his name. If there's anything you can't solve, look for non-negotiable. Leng Ruoxue reminded them worriedly. Hee, lass, enter seclusion at ease. Well, settle the things outside, old man Zhao said hurriedly. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded slightly and then brought everyone and the beasts into the bracelet. Grandpa, we're going into seclusion. Leng Ruoxue pulled the freak directly into the cultivation room in the purple bamboo hut after speaking. For the next few days, Leng Ruoxue and the freak entered seclusion in the bracelet while Leng Qingtian and the others continued to gather and expand their forces outside. Half a month later. Everyone was gathered in the yard at the back of the mountain, and it was extraordinarily bustling. Eat and drink to your heart's content, everyone. Don't stand on ceremony. Old man Zhao greeted everyone warmly and generously took out a lot of food. Ha, we won't stand on ceremony. Cheng Wu laughed out loud and said happily. He didn't expect their mission to be so smooth. It only took half a month to complete the mission Leng Ruoxue gave. In fact, it was all thanks to everyone's cooperation because it became much easier to continue recruiting other forces after they recaptured numerous factions. After all, a large number of people had already lived in Myriad Mountain City for a long time and had been oppressed by the 5 major factions for a long time. Therefore, it almost didn't take much for those people to take the initiative to pledge allegiance to them after knowing their thoughts. Now, almost all the scattered factions were in their control. Therefore, in just half a month, they were really the 6th largest faction in Myriad Mountain City. After completing the task Leng Ruoxue gave them, everyone relaxed for the time being. Today was the celebration party specially organized for them by Old Man Zhao and the others. Good, now you look like a man. Old Man Zhao shouted excitedly. Everyone, drink less. This wine can get drunk easily. Leng Qingtian looked at the excited crowd and had to remind them. These wines were refined with the spirit fruits in Shuer space, and ordinary fruit wine could not compare to it. Moreover, the wine was stronger. Old Leng, everyone is so happy today. Don't spoil the fun. Old Man Zhao immediately pouted unhappily when he heard that alcohol was restricted. Just drink to your heart's content. I won't care about you then. Leng Qingtian shook his head helplessly. I know my limits, Old Man Zhao promised hurriedly, his mouth already reeking of alcohol. Master Leng, don't worry. I'll watch over them, the head butler quickly promised. Yes, even though today is a celebration party, we have to be careful of the safety of the village, Leng Qingtian reminded. Fortunately, their actions were very secretive and did not leak any news. Otherwise, how would they dare to hold a celebration party? Not to mention drinking. Yes, I've already arranged everything. Moreover, I won't drink, the main butler said hurriedly. He was now more respectful to Leng Qingtian and the others after interacting with them for more than half a month. They might not be as strong as him in terms of strength, but their experience in dealing with people and matters was not something he could compare with. He had a deep understanding of this. That's good. Leng Qingtian was relieved to hear that. Damn old man, you sure know how to make a fuss, the old man sitting beside Leng Qingtian couldn't help but say. He has always been like that. Leng Qingtian said helplessly. Old Man Zhao was lively, jumpy, and sometimes like a child. Unless it was refining artifacts, no one could expect him to stay obediently. Alas. I'm done eating. I'm going to rest first. The old man got up and returned to his room after speaking. Soon, Leng Qingtian, Lin Liang, and the others returned to their rooms to rest. The lively scene in the yard continued until late at night. The next morning, Leng Qingtian and the others saw people lying all over the yard when they emerged from their rooms. Some of them were even holding wine jugs. As for Old Man Zhao, he ran to the only tree in the yard and hugged the tree trunk to sleep soundly. Does this damn old man think he's a monkey? He actually climbed up a tree to sleep. The old man couldn't help but laugh when he saw Old Man Zhao sleeping. Wake him up. Leng Qingtian shook his head helplessly. Alas. How much did he drink yesterday to be so drunk? Damn Old Man Zhao, wake up. The old man raised a leg and took the opportunity to kick Old Man Zhao's butt several times. Chapter 497, The Next Unlucky One. No, I haven't had enough sleep. Old Man Zhao stammered. Then he buried his head in his arms and curled up. The sun is shining on your butt. Hurry up and get up to work. The old man roared into Old Man Zhao's ear. Ah! What's the matter? What happened? The loud sound shocked Old Man Zhao so much that he jumped up immediately and asked in shock. Nothing. I just woke you up, the old man said with a naughty smile, his old face full of pride. Damn it, you old thing, how dare you scare me? Old Man Zhao roared furiously. His head hurt from drinking too much yesterday, and now it hurt even more from anger. Moreover, he was dizzy. You slept like a dead pig. I couldn't wake you up no matter what, the old man said innocently. You, Old Man Zhao was so angry. Old Man Zhao, didn't I tell you to drink less? Why did you drink so much? Leng Qingtian looked at all the empty wine jars and said with some dissatisfaction. We didn't drink much. Why didn't we? Old Man Zhao said shyly. He he didn't feel like he had drunk a lot. Humph. You still have the cheek to say it. The old man pouted and said mockingly. Of course. Old man Zhao roared immediately. All right, stop arguing. Wake them up quickly. Ling Qingtian ordered. Okay, the old men answered and then split up to wake the men who were sleeping like dead pigs. After a while, everyone woke up from their hangover. However, the after effects of being drunk also found them unceremoniously. Oh, it hurts. Chen Wu covered his head with one hand. Humph. Do you feel uncomfortable now? I told you to drink less. All of you are disobedient. Ling Qingtian snorted, his face full of displeasure. Ah. I'm sorry. We didn't do it on purpose, Chen Wu said unpleasantly. He was too excited yesterday, so he accidentally drank too much. Go back to your rooms and rest. There's nothing for now, Ling Qingtian said. Yes. Everyone helped each other up and left the yard behind the mountain. 3 days later. In the bracelet. Ling Qingtian and the others were chatting in the space when they suddenly felt a strong spiritual power fluctuation. Immediately, all the spiritual power in the space rushed toward the purple bamboo hut. Is Shuer going to break through? Ling Qingtian asked happily. Perhaps it's little Chen Chen. Old man Zhao was also a little excited. Anyway, it was a good thing no matter who among them broke through. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue and the freak had already opened their eyes at the same time in the cultivation room of the purple bamboo hut. The two of them looked at each other and smiled tacitly before leaving the purple bamboo hut hand in hand. Grandpa. Leng Ruoxue saw her grandfather and the others gathered in front of her door after exiting the purple bamboo hut. They were looking at her door expectantly. Shuer, you broke through, right? Ling Qingtian asked uncertainly. It was impossible to advance in space, and coupled with Leng Ruoxue deliberately converging her aura, he couldn't be sure if Shuer had successfully advanced at all. Yes, Grandpa. We all broke through, Leng Ruoxue said with a nod. She finally broke through to the 4th level of her heaven-defying skill, and she could also advance to Great Mystic. Ha! Okay, that's great. Ling Qingtian laughed happily. Big sister, congratulations. Qing Ju appeared in front of Leng Ruoxue. He could unlock another seal. Moreover, he was so happy that his mouth couldn't close at the thought of the additional land. Qing Ju, big sister will unlock your other seal now. Leng Ruoxue didn't beat around the bush and said directly after seeing Qing Ju. Yes, yes. Qing Ju patted his chubby hand happily. The little black dog, which had been following by his feet, jumped around excitedly. Leng Ruoxue shook her head helplessly. Then she waved her hands and cast a seal spell. The 4th seal of the dry Kun bracelet was opened. The space was actually more than 3 times larger than before after the 4th seal was unlocked. Moreover, the spiritual energy in the air was becoming richer and purer. 10 more pieces of Qing Ju and the little black dog's favorite land appeared all of a sudden. My land. The little black dog drooled happily. Qing Ju, quickly tell big sister what additional abilities you have. Leng Ruoxue asked Qing Ju, who was anxious to leave to see his new place. Big sister, Qing Ju's abilities are all very useful. I have the ability to monitor this time, Qing Ju said cockily. The ability to monitor? How far can it monitor? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Ah. Could this ability be what she was thinking? With Big Sister's current strength, monitoring the entire Myriad Mountain City will not be a problem, Qing Ju said proudly. Only Myriad Mountain City? You can have none. Old man Zhao said with some dissatisfaction. I am Big Sister's artifact spirit, so my ability is naturally related to Big Sister's strength. The stronger Big Sister is, the stronger my ability will be. As for Zero, can he monitor me all the time like I do? Qing Ju immediately retorted. For powerhouses, they could use their divine sense to search for some situations in their surroundings. However, using divine sense was not limitless. It was fine to sense it slightly, but no powerhouse could withstand monitoring it all the time. Yes, Qingju's ability is good and practical, Len Ruoxua quickly praised to prevent the two of them from arguing. It's good that Big Sister is satisfied. Big Sister, Qingju's ability will become better and better, so you have to cultivate diligently. Qingju said very seriously. Okay. I'll work hard, Len Ruoxua promised. She pinched Qingju's tender little face and ate some tofu. Big Sister, you only know how to bully Qingju. Boo-hoo, Qingju pouted its pink lips, and its bright eyes welled up with tears. It pretended to be displeased and ran away after speaking. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.